Hello everyone, welcome back to the Eternal Super League. This is week 5. Wow, damn, we're zooming through these games, and it's actually my first time here. I'm Koga, and I'm joined by two very special people you definitely already know well enough. First one is Warlock.
Hi people, hello. Week 5, we are halfway through I think after this one. We got some great matches coming up. I can't wait to get them, to show them to you.
And also the Shroom itself, Shroom themselves, Anarcho.
Hello. Yeah, we're halfway through. Yeah, by the end of this tonight we'll be halfway through, which is crazy to think we're like a month in now. A little bit over a month we've been doing this, which is wild. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to these set of games and continuing on with the league as we march on to crown a champion.
All right, so I'm very new here actually. I've managed to catch up a little bit with the games. I'm very behind actually. So I know the people who are playing have already played the same decks they're going to be playing tonight,
Yes.
last week. So
Yes.
let me go look at the IDs here actually.
Yeah, we should have the ID breakdown.
There's a decent spread, lots of woo. I think you already know what's up with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the big hot talking point of Eternal for the last little while is World Tree Woo, and I think there was only one person, only Toron, I think, was playing it in the first 3 weeks in like phase 1. And I think everybody just kind of hedged. Andy was actually the most represented runner. There was 4 Andys. And only 1 woo. And now in phase 2, we've completely swapped that. There's 4 woos, 5 shapers overall, and 1 Andy. And yeah, I think, but with the exception of 1, they're all World Tree decks. Because yeah, turn 1 World Tree every game, thanks to your ID, is pretty bonkers, especially in the Eternal card pool where you have access to every shaper card, every card ever printed for runner. And yeah, it's been crazy to see everyone pick up this woo deck and continue to do very, very well with it.
Wow, sounds balanced. Yeah, definitely. I mean, CI, MT, OB. It's actually looks like a decent spread. A little MBN, I guess, on the corp side, but I mean, you all already know all about this stuff. I'm the only one catching up here. Like, what am I talking about? So I want to see the standings here. I noticed OF 1515 absolutely shredding it, even in Eternal, not just in Standard. That's kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah, the man is on a tear in any format of Netrunner you
What the hell?
can think about. I can't wait to see what he brings up in a next startup event, I'm assuming. But 1515 is currently 6-0, I think, or 8-0 rather.
Wow.
Going into week 5, 18 points. We might have. Yeah, with the single person kind of trying to catch up is Jeff right now, only a single victory behind, but with additional game played, so only on 1 win and 3 ties, 3 splits. And the 2 of them are actually playing tonight. I think we'll see their matchup coming ahead in just a couple of hours, I think.
All right, let's actually look at today's games. So yeah, as you already mentioned, OF 1515 playing. I think that's gonna be one of the last matches we're gonna let you see tonight. You're gonna have to stay tuned till the very end for that. We have Ren against Jai, Torn against Arbiter, and Fun against Augustus. Cool. Super hyped.
Yeah. We'll talk about the matchups as we get into it, but definitely some hype games.
Yeah, for sure. Right. For sure.
That's cool. All right, what'd you say you go get into the games, like start commentating and stuff? I haven't done this in so long. Like, I'm so glad I get to just run the stream and you do your thing. Wow. Okay. All right. So I guess for real though, let's go and look at the first game against, I guess, Hever of Fun against Augustus.
Sure thing.
Alrighty.
Have fun.
Here we have. Thank you. We have
Very
have a fun playing some wizard build. We haven't seen his deck yet because he had a bye week last week, so we don't know what Alex is bringing to the table. But on the other side, we have Augustus playing some what looks like a scoring ob version, which is definitely atypical for Eternal.
Yeah, this is like it's not it's a completely quote unquote normal ob, very similar to what you might see in standard. Actually wants to score agendas behind ice. Kind of rush out a little bit. I think it's a little bit acidy. I think it's similar kind of to Facet ob, where you have things like Powers That Be. I think. But yeah, this is a really, really interesting ob build. Ob, I think traditionally a combo kill deck in Eternal. So really, really interesting and fun to see someone take a different spin on it. Might have been like a targeted meta call. Obviously, Augustus knew exactly who he was playing this phase, so maybe he was like, okay, well, I'm going to make some educated guesses as to what to bring, or maybe he's just trying out a fancy brew. But yeah, very excited to see this ob deck in action.
Yeah, definitely caught some people off guard on week 4, and we'll see if Alex was paying attention at the stream last week and adjusted his gameplay. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's dive in.
So a fairly maybe slow-ish opening hand. It's hard to gauge the Anarch's openings when with all the draw and burst economy that they have.
Yeah, it's weird. Like you have this price, and this price can hit very, very big. Have a fun. Pointing out that yeah, they were feeling very, very good, thinking maybe that this was the asset combo kill ob, and then seeing that actually it's a score out ob. And yeah, spicy ob is going to get you, as Augustus saying. But yeah, so this price could hit very, very well. But other than that, it's a little bit of a clunker. I wouldn't be surprised if Alex mulligans this. Going for the keep, actually, probably hoping to hit some value off of this price. Maybe get a Desperado if that's what they're on. Or some way of contesting this early remote start from Augustus. And that's a very, very key card there for ob. Advanced assembly lines. Just lets you get so much value out of the text box on that. And we're seeing an IQ fetched for ob.
That was Augustus' trick last week, playing this IQ, which is usually very expensive, fairly expensive to res, depending on if you are any normal corp or CI, but in this case, just up to 5 credits, depending on how many cards you have in hand. And an IQ is definitely going to be quite the eyes, given that it gets fetched for 0 credits thanks to the up ability.
Amazing. But yeah, just that's as Augustus is pointing out, that's 4 cards installed on turn 1. Pretty ridiculous. But this price does hit pretty well. We have a Desperado. It also hits a Steel Skin, which draws us into an MK Ultra and a Rozeki, which might be useful if the game goes a little bit long. I don't know if this is a particularly great Rozeki matchup, but this Desperado is a very, very good a very, very good find. Just that consistent 1 credit per run, rewarding for what you want to do. Very, very good.
Especially with all the open centrals that Alex has access to right now, definitely something you might be looking at. Instead, he decides to go for the medium and trying to find immediate points right away. Interesting.
Yeah, this is very aggressive a start. Just trying to get all the accesses. Alex may be saying that, they don't think they're going to be able to contest. That's a pretty big hit, though. The CVS purging away those medium counters. But Alex is able to get a couple of good trashes here. This Tucana getting trashed, pretty significant, I think, for Augustus's score out plan.
Yeah, 100%. And Alex digging in for free thanks to Wizard's ability, getting rid of all the nasty trashables on the top of an R&D.
Yeah, this Rashid of Fire, pretty big. Augustus now 8 credits, 3 cards already installed. You got to be feeling that if you can find a an eminent domain or some kind of an agenda here. This is a pretty good window to jam, and yeah, just icing up R&D, putting something into the remote, possibly an agenda, probably an agenda, and then installing something in server 3. Not sure what this could be. It could be another advanced assembly lines, could be something like a team sponsorship or a powers that be. And oh, but Augustus indicating start of turn triggers must be some kind of an instant speed fetchable here.
Ooh, actually an interesting line using the Tranquility Grid here to install something, to get the value from it, installing something.
That's so sick.
Yeah. Lots of value. This ob build is definitely finding a lot of interesting tricks here and there. Also, like drawing 2 advanced assembly lines and like finding one of the Rashidas, despite the other getting crashed, is definitely a really blazing fast start from Augustus here.
Yeah, and I think compare that to Alex's start. Alex not having a great start. It's a little bit slow. That purge and the ice of R&D is kind of shut down Alex's early aggression. And yeah, just checking this remote, popping the Jackson, getting that Jackson value back, or getting that Jackson to be forced. Not a terrible move there. I think at the minute Alex needs to establish some. I think economy is probably the most pressing concern at the moment. We do see a clan vengeance, so obviously we have the clan vengeance 0 game plan here. But just dropping the Rozeki, and it looks like going for a poke on HQ. Just gets a desperado value here.
Ooh, and 2 points.
And finding 2 points, so paid off very nicely. Now this Rashida Fire is going to put Augustus into a huge amount of tempo. 5 cards back in hand, 14 credits. An Ob ability, probably huge amounts of and the Trank Grid as well. Yeah, this is getting to be a bit of a this is a pretty clear push with Alex only on 2 credits. Yeah, this has to be some kind of an agenda score here.
Lots of corps are worried about having to play against Clan Vengeance in this meta, but Augustus is saying, I don't care if my cards go from R&D straight to a server 1, as long as you don't Clan Vengeance them the exact moment I draw them, the agenda can just get scored like back to back. So Alex definitely a little bit lagging in the terms of in the crate department, but almost all the burgers are already in the bin or in hand, so it's just a matter of finding enough money to install them and then contest the remote.
Seeing a standoff here, it's a very interesting include. So there's obviously some kind of agenda forfeit shenanigans there. But yeah, Alex is just probably looking for something like another price or a moshing or something, just to try to churn through a little bit and try and find some gas here. And a very nice play here is fetching the Tucana off the CVS. This is going to be an Atlas with a counter and a Tucana install. This is a ton of value here coming now off this. It's 2 points, but it's huge amounts of value.
Yeah. And between the Tucana, all the Ob installs, and the advanced assembly lines, Augustus assembled a 5 ice board state without basically ever paying for the installs.
Yep. Pretty great.
Yeah.
And he's managed to res like 7 credits worth of the IQ is like 1 credit per card in the runner's hand or something. I can't remember exactly how much it
IQ is 1 credit for card in HQ, I think.
In HQ,
the orb site, yeah.
Yeah, so there's like 7 credits worth of value already resed in terms of ice. Yeah, this is pretty great. And we see another price. Finding a 0 is not too bad. We have 2 pretty good 0 hits in hand, so drop the Clan Vengeance, hit the 0. And yeah, draw up, get money.
Yeah.
Start your Clan Vengeance train rolling.
One of the ways that Alex gets back in this game is denying Augustus as much value from ever touching server 1, because the server looks very hard to get into right now, at least. We've only 4 credits, but with big enough Clan Vengeances, Alex can find enough accesses to win the game.
Exactly, yeah. You're basically wanting to charge up this Clan Vengeance as much as possible, and try and never really have to worry about contesting this remote, because at the moment it's very, very hard to get in. But dropping this hammer on R&D is a pretty, again, just more and more value here being generated from all these upgrades. A rumor mill would go pretty well right about now. And thankfully, Alex has managed to draw one, so very, very timely there.
Yeah, shutting down at least the Tucana. The trigger unscored ends up having all the agenda on the corp cards trigger first, so the current gets removed after the kind of would have already triggered and doesn't actually end up tutoring for anything. But Augustus is playing a very fast deck that kind of wants to score agendas almost every other turn. So I don't foresee current staying very long in this board state.
No, this is going to be pretty quick here. Just a lot of scoring, I think. And yeah, Alex is just looking to get set up. Now there is a bit of a window here to get this blue moose down. There is also potential here that maybe Alex wants to just pop this Clan Vengeance now, maybe just get as much disruption going as possible. But I think maybe you just want to supercharge it so that you can deny any kind of from R&D straight into the remote kind of aggressive pushing.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning, I think, is that keeping the Clan Vengeance open kind of blanks the single counter that Atlas has right now. So as long as Augustus finds the cards that he needs, Alex can always trash that card or has a chance to trash that card if the Clan Vengeance stays. So there's definitely some game of chicken going there. The two counters getting ready to be used.
Yeah, we gotta love Clan Vengeance chicken.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm surprised Augustus doesn't have the action question mark copy and ready to be pasted every single click.
Yeah.
That would be...
Yeah, I think Augustus just wants to. I'm not sure. Is he popping for Ob, or maybe he's just trying to play around? Oh, I think he's just changing his actions from his previous turn there a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the upside of that was installing something from HQ and then drawing off the Trank Grid.
I think that's what happened.
Okay.
But it's Blue Moose plus Rozeki slowly getting Alex enough credits. The hammer is massive, and given that most of these wizard builds are not built to deal with multiple eyes back to back, especially the sentries are fairly terrible for good old MK Ultra. Getting the medium runs is going to be very tough.
Yeah, I think this medium is functionally blank for the rest of the game. There's zero way you're breaking a hammer repeatedly, and there's no way you want to be taking 3 net damage either from the bang hard. Now, maybe once you get set up, you're happy to just start saying, fine, but there's only 19 cards left in deck. I'm a little surprised we didn't see Rumor Mill getting played here to blank the Jackson so you can, again, deny that value, but maybe Alex is just saying, if I force this, that's still a win for me, and I can save this Rumor Mill for something more pressing. But yeah, just forcing Augustus to pop the Jacksons maybe at some slightly suboptimal times.
Definitely in two Rashidas and an Aspanas lines though definitely must feel good for the corp side here.
Pretty nice.
There's a lot of value.
Yeah. I'm charging into this remote. That's rough.
That's a banker ice at least, so it's not terrible. It's gonna supercharge our Clan Vengeance, get rid of a few cards. We have a lot of unique cards already that I've installed, so half of the hand is not that bad as long as you don't lose the Rumor Mill is pretty good. If you lose that one, I don't think it's doing that much in this board set anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're mainly just yeah, the Rumor Mill going is a bit frustrating because now Augustus can make that server Banghart proof if this is an agenda push. If this is a border control on the innermost, it's a sandstone, which is just as annoying actually looking at Alex's credit total.
Having to install the paperclip and then break the 5 strength eye is definitely something Alex wasn't looking forward to.
Yeah, this is right out of standard ob. Yeah, this is I think this board state I think is completely standard with the exception of Jackson. I don't think we've seen any card. I don't know if IQ is still legal. Maybe IQ.
I don't think IQ is still in the format, but other than that, yeah, everything else looks standard legal.
Normal. Very, very fun to see. And yeah, we're seeing I guess maybe some of the punishment as well of the bin breakers. You look at Black Orchestra into Thimble Rig, and you're looking at 3 credits to break a 0 strength ice, which is very, very awkward.
Yeah, that's expensive, and don't get me started on having to break Archer with MK Ultra. That's going to be a really tough task for Alex.
Have you ever broken an Archer with an MK Ultra and not hippoed it?
I must have, but I wasn't particularly happy about it. I can tell you that one.
I've done enough playing APOC decks that I can tell you it's 12 credits to break.
So 14 with the install.
Yes, plus 14 with the even StimHack doesn't even cover that.
Yikes.
So yeah, Augustus scoring at this Atlas, getting border control to HQ.
Yeah.
And yeah, just shoring things up here a little bit.
So the remote is definitely very tough to get into, but Alex has time to kind of build up some more credits with all the drip he has. And the clump bench is always a one-click button to get a few accesses and kind of try and make Augustus stumble. We'll see again if it has to be kept for the Atlas score later on, or if Alex decides to find the disruption, to use the disruption earlier.
Are there any? Obviously, this not being an actual JNet game or a JNet live game, we can't check the heap. I do wonder, did we see a Clan Vengeance getting sent into the heap there, making this Kortorga breakout? You can get back 2, so you can always kind of save 1 for, you can have 1 kind of in reserve for whatever the Atlas play is.
I don't think we have. I don't think we've seen any other Clan Vengeance as that one. And Alex charging through the hammer, taking the damage.
I was just saying, I promise CV will pay off. Augustus doing very well, actually, to kind of play around CV a little bit. Like, his HQ count has been pretty low, which is obviously not ideal for getting a ton of value out of your Clan Vengeances. Obviously, you want to be hitting for, upwards of 4 cards. But at the minute, just happy to stay on low hand sizes to kind of play around the disruption.
Yeah, it's not. Augustus is not particularly worried about CV right now. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Alex has to kind of read when the agenda will go straight from R&D to HQ and trying to hit that one on time. It's definitely going to be tough because you usually kind of know that the corp gets flooded once you lock their remote down, but it doesn't look like Alex has a way into that server 1 anytime soon.
Yeah, I think this remote is basically uncrackable now for the rest of the game. You can keep Thimble Rig on the outside to deny Bankar, and then just force Alex to muster up the 14 credits needed to install and break Archer with MK Ultra. For as powerful as the bin breakers were, you slap certain pieces of ice. We're seeing this board state. We're seeing the weaknesses of some of the bin breakers for very different reasons. And Augustus just continuing to push into this remote. Looks like another hostile, and it is. So now threatening the Audacity play here, or the Slash and Burn play as well. This is obviously very susceptible to Clan Vengeance because you pop the Atlas, and as we were saying, you can then just pop the Clan Vengeance in response. But getting to 5 points, even if he can't get the Atlas, this is still, or even if he can't, pull off the Atlas to find the missing piece, this is still like he can just shove whatever he wants into that remote, and it is not getting touched.
Yeah, as soon as Augustus finds an agenda that's going straight into server 1, and unless that happens in several turns, so that all the drip economy kind of gets Alex enough credits to get in, that's definitely not getting stolen.
Now, Alex can get into R&D, I think, relatively reliably. The hammer is an issue, but although the vanilla moving off, The Thimble Rig moving on does kind of change that a little bit. But it's 6 credits to get in with 2 bad pub, and you're dripping 3 credits a turn. It is possible with Bang Hard to get into R&D a few times, and maybe Alex is able to snipe the 2 agendas needed, potentially 2 agendas needed. I don't know what 3-pointers Augustus is running. I presume SDS or SSLs?
I would assume at least one, but
Yeah.
maybe he found a way to shorten or play more agendas and kind of avoid having to play 3-pointers.
Mm-hmm.
Alex firing off the price here and looking at the choice of Faust and
Vengeance. Go for the Faust instead.
Interesting. Or then clicking 0 to get a whole new grip of cards and some money. That's a powerful click for sure.
We love clicking 0 when your last card in hand is and I've had worse. Few other things in life spark as much joy.
Yeah. Challenging R&D here. Well, with the 2 bed pubs, thanks to the 2 hostile takeovers, the run is definitely cheaper than it looks. Although the 3 cards are quite annoying.
Yeah, and there's only so many times you can. Alex has 6 cards left. So you can only do this twice more. And once you do that, you're basically locked into clicking for credits. But thankfully, you can still get in now, and maybe these 2 accesses that we're going to get off medium are enough to pull the game. Again, there's probably at least 1 3-pointer in there. That is a very, very nice little play. Swapping with the Thimble Rig, getting the border control onto R&D to pop it then. Very nice little play from Augustus.
And then setting down a after, which is luckily for Alex, it's on R&D, so it's not the worst possible code name to deal with. But if it were on HQ, that would be a lot rougher.
Yeah, it's not the 5 credits to break with Black Orchestra that it is. It's just 3.
Yeah.
Just.
Alex commenting on his play.
Is he checking something? Oh, he's checking Levy.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think all like Levy and both Katorgas are in the heap, and these decks usually run a couple of Katorgas. We'll see if Alex played the 3rd one and is still hiding in his stack, or if the recursion is out, and with that, the long-term plan of using that Faust that he installed the first click on this turn.
Yeah, I kind of think maybe just grabbing the Clan Vengeance there so that you have 2 running might have been a little bit better. We've 1 card left in hand, 1 card left in stack. Unless that last card is 1 remaining Katorga or a Levy or a same old thing, this is all Alex has to work with now for the rest of the game.
Yeah, not the greatest place I would want to be. Like, definitely not the situation where you feel confident about playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just looking at R&D at the minute, and it's like 3. We are seeing something go into the remote and double advance, so that looks like the missing 5/3. I'd be very surprised if it's anything but.
Yeah, but the winning points here. Archer does not look like something Alex can deal with, unless Faust is good enough using all the cards you have left in hand to get through that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 5 cards. So you can break it. And Augustus doesn't have border control on the remote now. He does have Thimble Rig, which basically means that he has a border control if he wants it.
Oh yeah.
I think Alex's best bet here might be. This is tricky.
I hate to say it, but charging down R&D and probably letting the hammer fire looks like the best way to get some form of accesses and maybe get lucky.
The problem is that that's going to destroy your medium, so you're going to need you're going to basically need to rely on singles then.
Oh right, yeah, because it's not a Dakota Fractal killer, so yeah.
It is not a Dakota Fractal killer. So yeah, so Augustus will just blow up the medium, and then you're basically just into hoping that you can get enough singles. Alex definitely, I think, has enough money to get in once or twice, which is in theory enough to win. But yeah, you're without access to medium on that play. It's very, very tricky. And Alex just taking some time to think here, see what is available to them. And I think you're.
Alex has 2 runs here, 8 credits and 2 bad pubs. The 2 eyes are 3 to crack each, so it would have to be exactly 8 credits run twice. And I think if you use 2 cards, you get to break the hammer with Faust and only like break the one subroutine you get to break, which is the trash one program one. So you will end up losing all your hardware and getting a few tags. But if you think that's the last turn of your game, that's definitely the only thing. It's the only line I can see that finds at least a hope of winning.
That's true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, 6 credits. Targeting server 1.
Or at least thinking about it. Oh no, yeah, there we go.
I'm not sure what.
I don't think the banker matters that much. That single card saving 3 credits is not that bad.
Yeah, I think maybe Alex just didn't realize the interaction with Thimble Rig and border control here when they were doing the maths on if they could get into the server. I think they can break the archer. But now I think they're locked into. Yeah, they can break through, but then Augustus just pops the border control and then probably just gets a third, another ice onto R&D then, just to make the potential dig even harder.
Yeah, at this point, definitely like anything, getting through anything here looks impossible. Even the line I was talking about with the Faust breaking only one subroutine on a hammer kind of went out the window with all the cards going. So I don't see Alex getting any access. It's not on HQ, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Alex is firmly in a position where they just need to hope that the 2 remaining cards in HQ, both of them are agendas, but I don't
big ones at that.
And big ones, yeah. Maybe there's a nice little government takeover in there.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, I'm not seeing what is available to them, unfortunately. You can still run through R&D. Is Hammer a sentry or a code guy?
Hammer's a sentry.
Hammer's a sentry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to boost twice. So it's 8 credits. Yeah, 8 credits to get the MK Ultra installed. I think your best bet is just running R&D 2 or 3 times, and just letting the hammer fire and hoping that you can just singles your way to victory. R&D is pretty thin, so it's entirely possible that you can get lucky. And with credits, you can trash stuff off of R&D as well. But yeah, I can't see. I don't know how Alex is able to pull this one. And with only 2 clicks left, I don't know if there's enough 3 points left.
Judging by the density and like all the 2-pointers that Augustus played thus far, I don't expect there to be a lot more than 1 3-pointer. That usually end up being making sense math-wise to run 1 3-pointers, a few 1-pointers, and then get the rest of the your bulk of your points with 2-pointers here.
Yeah. Yeah, and Alex just sniping the NGO, and that's not 5-3.
But that can find another agenda, and then Augustus has the chance of scoring it out. There you go. So he advanced the Eminent twice last turn, so he could do advance and then double advance the last point.
Very,
Getting to
very
7.
nice.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Not even having to play around the CV.
Yeah, that's a really nice little play, actually. Dodges the CV very, very well. Yeah, GG's to Augustus. Augustus mentioning out this is a bit of a counter pick into Wiz. And yeah, you see it briefly there being mentioned. Augustus expecting a lot of Wizard, not a lot of Woo. And yeah, you can see exactly why that's paid off. Just a very, very tricky matchup. The breakers just don't line up particularly well, and it's hard to kind of contest, a remote that early. For these wizard decks that are typically better at dealing with these wider combo corps.
Yeah, very interesting meta read on Augustus' side. He played Thoron in phase 1, so he wasn't expecting many World 3 Wu to show up. And we have our game 2, Common as a Wu versus MT. I'll pause it really quickly to talk about the matchup. So on the runner side, we have what we've seen for the past 5 weeks now. So this Common as a Wu using World 3 to find any card basically that's going to help the runner get through anything and not die, contesting any kind of combos that the corp can find with some finesse and definitely requiring some quite precise play. I guess it's using a 106 card count for this one.
Wow.
Which I don't know if it's big or small at this point.
I think Thoron is going into the 200 card range, or certainly bordering on it. So yeah, I think we can now say that 100 card Woo is a little slim. It's it's on the smaller end of what these World Tree gamers have been coming up with.
On the other side, Team Wekundu, we've only seen one of the two Team Wekundu in phase 2 thus far, and that was Silent Arbiter playing this shell game MT that he brought last week. We'll see if Fun has a similar line, or if he'll lean more into the Glacier side of the ID, which you've seen from Augustus on phase 1. Definitely, though, the matchup, as far as I'm being told, is kind of corp favored here, as it's annoying for Vu to deal with the instant eyes that MT can muster and try and slow down the World Tree triggers.
Yeah, it's very hard when you can just flash in a piece of ice there and prevent Wu from getting the World Tree value. We did see that happen during Tehran and Augustus's game in week 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Where Augustus was just able to get in a bunch of ice. You force the World Tree Wu into finding something like Mayfly to try and crack into the remote, or crack in and get their value going. But just very, very awkward matchup for Wu.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's go. This hand from Wu's not too bad. We see a Hyperdriver, which is great for setup. Some draw in the form of Diesel. I don't know how relevant that is when your deck is 100 plus cards. And a Mem chip, which can get turned into a Lily Pad. But Augustus going for the mulligan. This hand looks a little bit slower, maybe worse than the other hand, but you do have some good economy options. Alex just clicking for 3.
Clicking for credit, interesting. Another play I would have considered myself. Also, using a subliminal messaging right away to find even more money. So ends up stopping his turn on 9 credits.
I mean, this does threaten Anansi, which you might be looking at an empty board state and saying, "What Anansi?" And that's Mati for you. Mati will let you surprise the runner with an Anansi. But yeah, just you have to wonder what's in their hand or what's in the deck, because we haven't seen Alex. We haven't seen Alex play yet this phase, so this could be an interesting Mati here. We could have another kind of shell game, your acidy kind of Mati, which would be really, really interesting to see.
Yeah, it depends on what Alex was considering the meta would be, and we see Augustus finding Shahrazad, which I think he found pretty quickly last week's as well. going to get a few credits back on all the installs he's doing.
Yeah, now just charging into archives. Getting the world tree, or getting the dead. Yeah,
Deer right away.
this is where I this is where I look at these boards, these world tree board states, and I don't really understand how the MU works, but it does. That's all I know.
You'll see several lines of programs going up and down, and we'll try to figure out how big and how expensive MU-wise the thing is. What I've realized is that if it's not on a daemon, it costs obviously. But if it's on a daemon, you're usually good to go. So you usually count how many daemons you have down, and then kind of add 1 to 2 MU for each.
Wild. This just reminded me of layers in Magic the Gathering. It's giving me nightmares. So yeah, Augustus just piling these programs onto the Sherazad, a card that you're all too familiar with.
Yeah, definitely. And getting our first, I think it's a 4 high 3 right there with a Muse hosting at SMC held onto the Dagdir, who's itself hosted on the Charizard, and then finding the World Tree.
I would just like to make a very, very special shout out to MB Kelly and the rest of the Chainhead dev team for enabling this, because this is yeah. this is a heck of an implementation here. We're seeing us as here just charging into the remote. Only 2 credits. This Mayfly is not threatening much. But a Managarm, Alex doesn't even need to flash in anything with Mati. This is just dealt with very, very easily.
Yeah. And I guess I was using the RFG command because sometimes the coalescence doesn't, the Cabernet Wu triggers don't go all the way, I think. Interestingly, Augustus used all 3 of his SMCs really early. So he found his starting setup with Rezeki and Dagdir, and then used the 3rd one to find a World Tree that stayed on the board. But now he's kind of out of easy instant speed tutors for programs here.
Yeah, I think he's going to need to start digging to try and get this World Tree value up. Finding like currents and resources. This scarcity is actually a bit of an annoyance. World Tree doesn't. It's the discount is 3 credits, if I'm right.
That's correct.
Which unfortunately means that scarcity is going to kind of negate some of that discount that you're going to get. But Augustus just saying, I'm going to charge in, try and get some value, try and get this World Tree engine going. You have this Coalescence, which can fetch another Rezeki. It can get another Daemon to really kind of... I don't know if you have the MU for another Daemon, but maybe you do. Maybe you have room for another Leprechaun.
Dagdir is free, Leprechaun is 1, and right now Augustus is working on 0 MU, so definitely has to find some way of dealing with that. Now he has access to Lilypad, so maybe he doesn't need the MU right away. But he's definitely going to have to find some solution for that sooner or later. And we see Alex flashing in a DNA tracker, very expensive, very, very powerful piece of ice.
Finding a Philodic Entanglement, so getting a little bit of payoff there for the run in addition to the World Tree value, and yeah, just grabbing the Rezekis, these cards in this matchup going to be incredibly useful here.
Yeah, absolutely. And with exactly 2 MU for free to be used, and the Angolo sitting in Augustus' hand, I think that's his like long-term solution for most eyes until he has an actual rig going on. But not having to find the Angolo through any weird way, but just being able to install it is going to let Augustus in servers pretty handily, I think, once his credit pool goes up. But the Rezekis are there to help for that.
The other really handy thing is that getting that Philodic has dealt with the scarcity, so I don't know what kind of cheap resources, you mostly see in these World Tree decks, you do see like these kind of 0 cost hardware and resources, these cheaper installables to get your value going. But yeah, just charging in here with this propeller. Not yeah, getting a good read here. Guessing the Tatubola. Yeah, the Liberation set has kind of done a lot of wonders for Mati and Eternal. You get access to Charlotte, you get access to a really, really good barrier in Tatubola. It's been very, very fun and good to see this kind of more traditional, quote unquote, or regular corp doing well in Eternal.
Yeah, and we see Augustus forcing letting the Tatubola fire, so negating Alex the money he probably was expecting to after the res, and then switching his focus to something else, knowing that even if MT installs something, it's unlikely to get resed.
Yeah, I think Alex is debating maybe popping the Charlotte for the money to res. But even doing that, like, it leaves you on, let's say there's another Tatubola in hand, it leaves you on 2 credits, which, and no Charlotte then to keep that value ticking over. So I think you just have to accept the single here. But no, going popping the Charlotte, possibly there's a Rashida or a Charlotte in hand, a second one to kind of keep that kind of gas going and keep that acceleration going. But it'd be interesting to see what gets flashed in here.
That's a good read, and we find a slot machine, so it's something that
Ooh.
maybe will end up paying off. We see it looks like 3 different type cards. I think it's a hardware, a resource, and an event. So unfortunately,
Yeah.
unlucky for him.
Yeah, just lose 3.
Yeah, he's still pretty good. And we see the power of the Shahrazad slowly giving Augustus a few credits here and there. Definitely paying off. Right now, I think that single card ended up providing up to 8 credits, which is for a single install. It's definitely
Very strong.
Yeah.
Not the 14 billion credits that I think Shahrazad is maybe used to pulling
Yeah.
off Infernal, but you know, like this
Close.
is quite this is pretty good. So Degdeer coming in. So Degdeer is again 0 MU itself, and 2 programs are free that are hosted on it.
No, it's 0 MU and only 1 program is free to be hosted on.
Only 1 program.
Yeah,
sorry.
Leprechaun hosts up to 2, but it costs 1 MU itself. So Dagdir kind of makes any one thing for free. Like the Leprechaun trades 1 MU for 2 programs of any size. And importantly, Dagdir also discounts the program installed on it by 1, which kind of works even very well with all the coalescences going on it and then getting crashed. If you have enough other daemons to have 1 Dagdir free of like using it to host the different programs that get trashed.
This deck is definitely above my pay grade, and I would consider myself a bit of a Shaper connoisseur, but this is far too Shaper brain for me. Yeah, Augustus is taking that turn there. We just saw him install the lily pad, install this 0 cost resource. And yeah, both players, it looks like, just taking a bit of a setup turn here. Alex getting the Jackson rezzed and clicked, playing a hedge fund, probably just going to maybe like install something into the remote here, possibly a Rashida, or maybe just play another money operation.
Makes sense. Installing something in the remote, ideally looking to push his board state even further. Knowing that the single Tatubola is not exactly the one piece of ice that Augustus has to deal with. And it also generates a lot of money for Alex that he'll probably use to res big ice.
I'm just having a quick look at here at some of the options that Augustus has available to him. I think I saw a Da Vinci in there as a target.
Da Vinci, there's a Reaver that I know Augustus can find.
Reaver.
Yeah. Yogg plus Turbine is his way of dealing with code gates, and I think the rest of the setup includes Echelon and Propeller. I think is the only fractor.
Okay.
Surprisingly, for a list that runs upwards of 40 to 60 programs, maybe not in this one, but definitely like around 30 programs, having just 4 to 6 breakers is somewhat surprisingly. I see Da Vinci getting used just to install something cheap. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, we're seeing an undo. Angola going onto one of the deck deers.
Yeah. Getting more MU.
Angola, in the face of this slot machine, it's not the best. Slot machine is just a very, very efficient piece of ice. But this Angolo does mitigate it somewhat. The lose 3, swing 3, the lose 3, gain 3 mode on slot machine. And we're also seeing Ysengrin flush. People who were playing in standard in sort of late 2020 will remember that Angolo was kind of, its stocks were at maybe its highest because it was very efficient at dealing with these two pieces of ice, slot machine and Ysengrin flush. I say very efficient, still 4 credits, which is not nothing.
Yeah, but it's one of the few icebreakers that get to break both without being terribly sad. Like especially Slot Machine, famously one of those pieces of ice that never gets broken because it costs more than it actually provides. So unless you really hit the jackpot and get all 3 at the same times, you rarely have to rarely end up breaking it because it doesn't make sense. And Golo kind of helps in that department.
Seeing a very cool play there. Before the World Tree triggers, popping the Da Vinci to get a resource down, so you're basically turning that Da Vinci into any World Tree trigger you need, which Augustus has used to fetch the blue moose. So now Augustus is going to be dripping for 5 credits a turn, 3 from the Rozekis and 2 from the blue moose.
Yeah.
Plus the Angolo in hand, plus the World Tree. This is just a absurd amount of value here.
And we see
firing off the levy.
Good old levy for value, and a play that it looks weird from any other deck, but it's definitely the correct call on a lot of these World Tree Woo decks, where you just want to load the deck back in with coalescences so you can find them, trash them for more value, and just keep the engine chugging along. Right now, Alex has done a good job at icing all the servers rather. The only one left is that single Jackson hour that can get removed from game very quickly. So Augustus doesn't have an easy way in any of these servers to find more Walter triggers. We'll see if he ends up having to pay more than the single Walter is generating value.
And finding that other Charlotte and Eggen just kind of get the ball rolling again a little bit. At some point, though, Alex is going to need to start pushing through agendas. The longer you leave these kind of, and it's always been the case with these kind of sort of control shaper lists, is that the more time you give them, the longer the game goes, the more value they're going to get, and the more they're able to get their sort of doom rig set up. Where they're able to just get through any kind of ice. The old Laguna Haley decks in Eternal used to do this, where if you gave them enough time to generate crowdfunding and blue moose and pawn shop value, they would eventually just be able to waltz through any server. It didn't really matter what you were going to do because they were set up enough. Seeing a very rare manual install from Mati. And now getting the Reaver down, so we're going to see Reaver plus World Tree triggers, so each run, which is just a ton of gas, which I guess you need when your deck. There's still 80 cards left in the stack right now.
Single program install and then run to trash it gets 2 cards and a free tutor for anything that it gets discounted by 3. So heaps of value to be generated, and all the clone chips and symbol chips are just here to get even more and more stuff. The silver lining for Alex here is that the MT works really well with a bunch of the upgrades that the list usually plays. So we see Monogram's Crankworks, but we'll know for sure that usually these lists run like a Caprice A. That's not one of those really powerful cards that trigger off MT a second time during the run. And World Review usually doesn't run too many ways to deal with these. We'll see maybe a couple of councilmans and political operatives usually. as the one way to deal with annoying upgrades, but we're definitely not gonna see rumor mill or penal threadings and stuff. So we'll see. Like Augustus will have to be very precise about tutoring the right resources to deal with the annoying server if and when Alex ends up pushing more agendas.
Yeah, the materiality working with things like Caprice and Managram, you can trigger Managram something like 3 times on a single run. I think if you have your upgrades stacked and you stack your upgrades in the right way, yeah, I think Mattia at full power can trigger a Managram something like 2 or 3 different times a run, which is very, very hard to get into. And we're seeing Alex. Let's all welcome my friend from the standard ban list, Tributary. A card we didn't really get to see a whole ton of in standard. Wasn't around for long enough, but yeah, another banger from Liberation for this Mati deck. Just 2 really strong pieces of Jinteki Ice that have really just like given this Mati deck a lot of gas in Eternal.
Yeah, Tributary also really good against World Tree, a deck that wants to run at least once a turn, but usually exactly once a turn. And
Yes.
having to deal with the additional piece of ice every run, every turn is definitely annoying. Someone in chat was mentioning that the setup Augustus is building towards is probably something that includes Yogg and Turbine. So that would usually deal with Tributary as well as Engram Flash and Slot Machine for 0. So really good setup to deal with all these annoying code gates, and we see exactly Augustus fetching the Yogg and getting ready to you slowly deal with these annoying code gates.
Yeah, eventually that archives, Augustus will be able to just run into the Engram Flush, break it for free with Yogg, and then deny the tributary value there, and then hopefully start cracking into the remote. But it still drains Alex by a click every turn, or Augustus by a click every turn, which is very relevant in the face of a Managarm remote.
Definitely. Alex unfortunately hasn't found the Lacosta grid, usually the combo that goes with Charlotte here, and definitely the one piece of upgrades that will help you get your agendas out quickly. So the tempo that generates is definitely something that Alex is looking forward to, and we see another install on the server, another additional upgrade. We'll see if that's a defensive one or if Alex actually found the Lacosta he's been looking for.
Both players definitely just in a bit of a holding pattern here. Both just kind of setting up a little bit. I'm just kind of looking for pieces. Alex could also just be looking for agendas. Maybe there's a very strong case that like they just haven't found anything to actually jam.
Yeah, that's not impossible. That's definitely something. It could be the case, but we see Yogg and Turbine coming down. Now this archive is completely free, and all the Taxin servers that Alex built, we were praising him for, are just now getting cracked for exactly 0 credits. Absolute travesty.
Yeah, we haven't seen. Normally, Yogg was very, very powerful when it was in standard, but kind of required things like Leech and Ice Scarver to make use of. But now Yogg plus Turbine really is just a wild amount of ice breaking potential there, breaking pretty much any code gate in the game, with the exception of this DNA tracker, for free.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Yeah.
Painting with the Ingolo. Oh my goodness.
To deal with the Sizenton for 0 again. Getting through 3 deep ice, spending 2 credits is something else.
That's absurd.
Meanwhile, Augustus installing his 13th program that is not going away, and finding the time to install a hyperdriver number 14, using only 6 MU right now, which is definitely impressive.
So currently on the table right now there is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 MU worth of programs. I think 14. I think Reaver's only one. So yeah,
Could
14
be, yeah.
MU worth of programs. But it's just using up 6. We only need 6.
All these daemon doing wonders for the massive shaper setup that all the shaper enthusiasts loves.
Yeah, this is I think peak shaper. This is the most shaper that it can be.
Yeah. Alex keeps on building his clown car. Even more upgrades ended up finding their way into that server. It looks like a terrible thing to have to deal with if one of them is a Caprice Nize and everything. But on the other side, Augustus is sitting on 19 credits. Basically, any breaking power he needs, except for maybe like repeated buggers. So I don't think he's particularly threatened by it, and I will see if he ends up getting bored and finding ways into R&D to get like all the multi-access the list can find, or if he ends up being even more patient and just kind of wants to match the MT pace and only tackle the remote if and when necessary.
Yeah, I think at this point you can just settle into the control shaper playstyle of just I am going to sit back, and if you try and do anything, I'm going to respond here. But no, just charging R&D. I don't know what the win condition is for this deck. I don't know if it's deep dive or if it's medium.
I'd be shocked if the list could afford to play a win condition event and find it regular, like consistently enough. So my mind is on Conduit, which is influence free and easily tutorable. Definitely the worst of the 3 in terms of performance, but the one that's more convenient for the list, I think.
Alex saying prepare to concede.
I guess it is ready to face even the most fearsome of Chiyashis that have found the board a few weeks back, handing out a flat line, I think, on week 3.
Yes, into Toron, we saw the Chiashi just dealing 4 net at the worst possible time for Toron, trying to get their World Tree value going. But yeah, it is the conduit.
Ooh, and a massive fine for Augustus, the Obokata Protocol.
Huge find.
Yeah, especially on what looks like an 8 card hand going down to 4. Not worried at all about losing anything, honestly, with all the recursion and tutors.
Yeah, between the recursion, the tutors, and also the fact that you just have this unholy rig in front of you, I definitely feel that you don't mind taking the 4 net for Obokata there. And just diving back in.
Makes sense, and nothing to fear.
Yeah, you do get in here for 0.
Currently, yes, unless Alex finds the money and the will to res the centralized, and that ends up being something that's not a code gate, you do again end up getting in for 0.
But even if you did have to pay money, like you were still dripping 5 credits a turn between Rizeki and Blue Moose. So even if you do have to actually spend money, and we see the DNA tracker, like this is still between the drip economy that Augustus has access to. This is only Augustus is still coming out by a credit, but we're just seeing double turbine. So
the rudest of play here, using the clone chip to get an SMC to find the second turbine just to deal with the DNA tracker for free.
I think Augustus just secretly wants to play a Euro game.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, he's just assembling his like meeples into the perfect like engine that he's got going. Yeah, this is just this is gaming.
I want to bring your attention to Augustus's stack and how slim it is right now compared to whatever it started with. He's done 64 cards, which is more than a regular standard deck, but almost half of the cards he had in the stack are already gone. That's wild. Even that's after a levy reshuffling what looked like 10 to 15 more cards.
This is wild. And you also see just the daily cast coming down, because why not? You know, we'll get a few credits off of it, and then we'll just turn it into, I don't know, what's a
Something
good
else.
resource? One of these other reclaims, maybe.
Yeah, or a good old political operative to get ready to run the remote
Or,
if needs
yeah.
be.
Yes, get the pot up.
I guess it's dripping for what is it? 7 now?
With the daily cast, this is 7 credit. Oh, and there's also Beth as well. So this is
Oh,
1,
of
2, 3,
course,
4, 5,
yeah.
6,
Let's
8
not forget.
credits. Yeah, let's not forget Beth.
So Alex's best shot is to find enough barriers that Augustus doesn't have an easy way in right now, and I don't think Jintech is known for having like all these massive barriers.
But even if you do, like the Augustus can just sacrifice any one of the, probably a Rozeki at this point, and just get back the propeller. And the propeller will be boosted up to 4 strength, which gets through basically any barrier that Jinteki has access to.
Yeah, and the propeller keeps on going with the SMC as their simul chip getting finding it over and over, refreshing it if needs be.
The player is just joking about the unbeatable strength of Tatubola in the face of Ngolo Yog Turbine. I don't even know what you need. Do you need to get anything? Augustus is firing the World Tree. I guess you can get. Oh,
That's
we have
big.
a tie game.
How poetic, says Alex here. That's the last of Augustus' click. So if he doesn't steal this one, the game will keep going. Usually, when you find a future perfect on R&D and you get to run it again for what looks like free right now, it's not the best situation. But at least Augustus won't be able to force it again. And Augustus guess is wrong, and Alex gets to keep the agenda.
A little bit of playful banter there between the players.
What did your D6 say?
Yeah. It's just friendly sportsmanship, friendly camaraderie here in the Eternal Super League.
Also, I love how the game just doesn't fit in the window anymore. Between all the programs, all the tiers of programs, and the huge R&D, the game, I guess, is unable to fit all the cards in the screen.
I just love that these two decks playing against each other is an exercise in how few credits can be spent to assemble these board states, because that R&D, Alex hasn't paid a single credit for any of those ice except to res them. Alex has spent 1 credit installing ice, and that was the second ice on server 1. So yeah, both players are just playing Eurogame Simulator here in Netrunner. How much of a board can they assemble without committing actual credits?
So Augusta's dipping in fairly low credits, only on I'll say a stupid number, only on 15 instead of his turn, going from 8. But 15 is not that much when you consider having to deal with double managram into a possible Nisei Mark II, not a Nisei Mark II, but a Caprice Nisei. So the remote is actually looking quite tough if Augustus can't find the time to get a political operative running. And it looks like it's not even interested in finding the future perfect and just hammering down R&D.
Yeah, just going after R&D. If I guess he feels like charging the remote, he can turn one of these reclaims into a political operative.
But that wouldn't work, right? You have to run HQ to install it.
Does World Tree get around it?
I don't think so.
Good question.
Once again, every week I'm commenting on here, I find something I like, a rule question I don't know the answer to.
We're exploring brand new boundaries. We're
Yeah.
pushing the boundaries of the comprehensive rules here in the Eternal Super League.
I'm pretty confident you don't get to find the polyp unless you have run HQ with the World Tree.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, it looks like Augusta's slowly going to get through all the eyes.
Yeah, players just very much in a jokey mood now at this point. Augusta's joking how the 4-strength propeller does in fact break Bran 4 times in the game.
Wild.
Breaking slot machine for 0, breaking this DNA tracker for 0.
Once again, 0, yeah.
These credits are meaningless. Augustus doesn't need 16 credits because he has spent 0 credits breaking ice on R&D here.
Yeah, it started dire having to use all the what's his name? The mayflies to deal with the first few starting eyes, but now that the engine is full on powered, there's nothing stopping him. Even the Chiashi, Chiashi gets broken twice with propeller and then gets at least broken once a turn by Ngolo.
Yes. Did Augustus? I presume Augustus declined. He broke with the propeller there. I assume he declined to paint the Chiashi with Ngolo.
Yeah, that looks to be correct.
Yeah.
Chiashi 8 strength also above the Yogg strength. So finally, one piece of ice that Augustus cannot break for 0. And we see the propeller going, and we'll see if what Augustus finds that deals better with it. I'm assuming he's just going to find something and then use the simul chip to install the propeller back if necessary. Oh, but that's not going to be necessary.
Or just find the agendas.
Yeah. Heads up play by Augustus to also put the Pichasau on the remote, ready to run it again, finding the clicks needed. And with Alex on 1 credit, even with the Tattoo Bola, it looks like his setup won't be holding him out for long. So that was a sweep by Augustus. Well played to both players. Really, really cool games back and forth. A lot of this one definitely early on, especially looked very, very interesting.
Yeah, this is another very, very interesting games. Watching the World Tree deck in action is always fascinating. Seeing the different MU configurations that they have to make this impossible rig work. So yeah, very, very well played by both players. Augustus getting another 2 wins, which I think now puts him on about 4-2 going into the games last week. So this puts him on 18. So trying to close that gap between himself and off 15-15. Speaking of closing gap, we have another contender here, Jai, who's also trying to close the gap to off 15-15, playing Andromeda into Ren on Industrial Genomics.
Yeah, Augustus, Jai, and Thorin all on 12 points, so 2 wins away from catching up to F. Augustus currently tied with F 15-15. We'll see if Jeff gets to crown himself champion for the week at least, if he beats F later on this week. Right now we have Jai sticking with Andromeda rather. He kept the ID from last week. I don't know if how many changes he made to the deck, but he went from being 4-player playing an Andy all the way just down to the single Jai.
And so this is just from the looks of it. We did see a couple of interesting little Andy brews from last phase, but this is very, very regular. We see Strike, we see Hannah. We see Desperado. These are all very just regular Andy cards, just looking to play. Again, similar to Mati, just relatively normal Netrunner, but you are getting to play with all of the most powerful cards that the criminal card pool has access to. And when you look at that hand, Desperado, Amakua, Bravado, Blue Moose, Employee Strike, like this, every card in this hand is great.
Yeah.
And there's 9 of them because you are Andromeda.
Funnily enough, it's missing kind of the burst economy that you want to install a few of these cards. So we might even see Jai mulligan it soon-ish.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if this is a mulligan. It is, if one of these Blue Mooses was a gamble, or even if there was a career fair to get the Blue Moose down, you'd be feeling very happy with this hand.
Yeah.
As is, somehow, this hand is maybe not quite good enough. On the other side of the table is Industrial Genomics. I think we saw what flavor of Industrial Genomics this is last week. I think this is Assets, so the kind of net damage based kind of prison deck that wants to assemble like this very difficult to beat board state of like bioethics, bladder wart, hostile infrastructure, which it can present that lock very, very quickly. But having Jai having access to Employee Strike and access to Hannah as well could stumble that could cause some issues there for Ren.
Let's see how it goes.
Jai hovering his mouse over the Employee Strike very, very anticipatorily.
Yeah, really good card for him in that regards.
And yeah, definitely a bit of a thinker, this one. If Ren does install on HQ, this Bravado does get some good value out of it. But yeah, I think this is just a mulligan, and you don't. This mulligan is somehow worse. A very rare bad 9 here, I think, from Andromeda.
Second 9 later on. And maybe the Chesvy and Boomerang not being the greatest, so okay-ish discards. I think Jai will find his way to some more playable cards in the next turn or two. But right now, definitely, I wouldn't be terribly happy with this hand. And Ren just starting with a good old Violet level clearance at the end of his turn after installing an Ice on HQ and a new remote. So fueling up the archives with 2 cards already. So improving the trash cost of all of his cards.
Yeah, I think we might see Jai. Maybe Jai will want to fire off the Employee Strike, just get rid of whatever this is. It could be a Rashida. If it is a Rashida, it's still only 3 credits, so like the 2 cards in archives is still okay to deal with. An extra 2 credits. Jai.
The stream might not be able to hear it, but yeah, Jai was was recording a fairly loud music. So
the joys of pre-recorded games, folks.
Yeah.
Only on the ESL. So yeah, Jai is just going to use this juice as well, probably to expose here and make the run. We see an Excalibur, classic piece of IG ice. If you combine it with Front Company, you can if you have a Front Company res and you have this Excalibur, you're able to get them the Excalibur, you can blank the runner's entire turn, which is very, very, very strong.
Charging into the Bacterial Programming, that's a fairly interesting discard from Ren. What happens is that you get to put a bunch of as many cards as you want in archives face down, and they stay face down after the run. And Jai, using the fact that he still has 8 cards in hand to challenge the corpse archives, knowing that it's unlikely he dies from this Bacterial Programming.
Yeah, and this is the other great thing that you can do as IG with Bacterial Programming is you can put more archives poison in and have it trigger without getting flipped face up. So if Jai wants to get rid of the IG tax, he'd have to go in and take another net damage from the shock that's in there now. But hovering over the Blue Moose might just be happy to just stick a Blue Moose down and just say, listen, if that's a Rashida, you get the Rashida. I doubt it is, given that Ren pulled cards of the Bacterial Programming. But yeah, it looks like he's going to just take advantage of the fact that he has 7 cards in hand and can tank a shock, and is going to go and clear the IG tax and maybe deal with whatever this asset is.
Yeah, definitely. The class act would be the worst hit, but the rest of the hand is kind of fine in terms of letting it go to a shock if it means being able to contest a Rashida the click after.
I think you care more actually about the Blue Moose. I think that's probably your best card in hand right now.
Yeah, but you have two, so you're not gonna lose both on a
Yeah,
single
like
shock.
running here seems perfectly fine. Running the archive seems perfectly fine, but just installing Blue Moose and clicking for a credit.
That feels
Ren-
weird, especially when Ren is definitely going to fuel their archives right back between all the cards that the Bacterial gave them and the possible draw on board. So yeah, now there's 4 more cards in archives and definitely more poison you have to deal with if you run archives. So interesting choice by Jai to run archives that click.
Ren just dropping 2 more things down. They are outside of Bladderwort range. It's gonna be pretty tricky to fire off Bladderwort. This against I think is pretty tempting, especially with a not particularly spiky ice on HQ, and it's not a vanilla either. But if one of these cards is a Bladderwort, I think actually firing off this account siphon could be very, very bad for Jai in a rare turn of events.
Yeah. The other thing is, I know all this kind of IG lists usually like to run Sealed Vault, and it wouldn't be impossible for Ren to have put down turn 1 to like kind of get ready to face the account siphon, and not having to res it. Obviously, we'll see if one of those 3 servers is the way to deal with the account siphon. That would be really heads up play for them.
So yeah, Jai is just charging him with this account siphon. You have the class act to get a bunch of gas at the end of your turn and to dodge any kind of like sort of net damage pings that are going to go through, and just okay, yeah, that's a
really
board.
good dodge, yeah. Jai only getting 4 credits for his name, draining Ren for 2, and then getting ready to take 2 more damage as they cannot deal with all the Blood Words.
Yeah, this is a really rough board state here now. Ideally, Jai is able to find... Right now, Jai needs to find sort of either find a Miss Bones, run archives, take any damage, and then deal with this board, all dealing with the infrastructure first, or finding an employee strike and then dropping a Miss Bones and dealing with the board. But yeah, this is exactly what IG likes to do. Is it kind of snowballs? It's able to stick 1 or 2 of these key assets, and then from there it just starts to constrain the options that you have. Yeah, very, very tricky. Very, very tricky now for Jai to kind of like get out of this early kind of lock that Ren is trying to put in place.
Yeah, the Sugar Gamble is definitely going to help him. The burst credits here are going to be very useful. That pays for 1 of the IG taxes, and we see Jai considering charging back into archives, taking more damage, but at least lowering the amount of credits he needs to deal with the board.
I think you kind of have to. So you can take, assuming, I think the max that you're going to take here from archives is 5 cards, but there's nothing. It's just the shock. So now Jai is able to go trash some of this board pretty aggressively. You definitely want to get rid of the hostile infrastructure, and you probably want to get rid of 1 of these Bladderworts.
Alternatively, Jai saying, "I don't like my hand anyway. I'll take my chances dealing with the Bloodwords before I deal with the hostile." The amount of damage is more or less the same as both Bloodword would have triggered anyway. So
that's true. Ren getting a bioethics installed, and this is kind of where IG can struggle a little bit with once you do flip up archives if there wasn't enough poison to deter you from dealing with the board. This Desperado is pretty big. It's always good in wide matchups, and especially right now where the IG tax is so low, this Desperado is going to get a lot of value.
Yeah, the position is not great for IG. Definitely, you really want the archives to be a lot more substantial.
Yeah.
And
You kind of want a lot of these assets to have sort of like 10 plus
yeah.
trash costs.
Luckily for Ren, Jai is not very rich, and the one credit that Desperado generates is not going to be game changing, let's say, but it's definitely going to help Jai deal with the board over and over. And we see Jai developing the fairly regular strat against IG, which is just deal with the consistent damage, avoid getting grinded down, avoid the lock getting more and more constrictive, and just proactively trash all the damaging assets until the IG has no more bullets.
Yeah, this is what if you're not able to reliably hit archives or you don't have access to something like employee strike, this is kind of what you want to be doing. Just take care of the assets as best as you can, and just try and grind them out of threats, because these decks don't play a ton of recursion. But I finding two pretty good power cards here. Employee Strike is really good, as we said, dealing with the IG tax, and Rebirth here, also very, very strong. I know, Warlock, you've had a lot of opinions about Rebirth, and people's rebirth choices. As Andy, if you were a Jai seat and you're staring at this Rebirth, what are you turning into? What idea are you replacing?
It's
Andy?
tough. I think as long as I'm not worried about losing it right away, I would probably consider keeping it for a while. My first guess would probably be Steve. HQ isn't terribly well defended, and you want the constant economy that it comes with. So there's a chance Steve generating more like value between getting you account siphons back for the turn after, or even just finding more gambles is probably good enough. The other option, given that Jai is on 3 points already, is to maybe rebirth into a Mercury, and then try and hammer R&D with additional accesses every time. And we see Jai looking at all the IDs.
Looking at the curve IDs. Yeah, I think Jai is definitely thinking of firing this Rebirth off. I'm trying to remember, what is the trigger condition for Ian? Is it Ian Tempest, Ian Sterling?
It's Ian Sterling.
Yeah, what's the trigger condition for Ian Sterling for gaining the 2 credits? It's something to do with agenda points, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it works on having lower agenda points than the Corp, which is not happening this game.
Oh, right. That is basically never happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Going for Sable.
Interesting. It gets a free poke on centrals every other turn, basically. I don't know if you're going to be very happy about running archives often enough, but the run on R&D is okay, and run on HQ could be better, but it's an option.
Yeah, I think you could have. I definitely think going for Steve would have been an option. 419 is not a bad option as well. Obviously, IG is happy to play pretty low to the ground, but they're currently on 1 credit, which is a little bit awkward.
But I think IG is not terribly unhappy to play very face up and just kind of show the runner what the cards are anyway, since they're likely to res them soonish after install. So I don't think 419 would have. I mean, it would have given Jai information about how and what how to play and what to contest, but I don't think it would have made the economical impact that it has on different board states.
Jai bottoming an account siphon, I have to assume that is.
Oh, and the video ends abruptly. That is
some technical wizardry happening.
That is something. Yeah, bear with us a second as I try and figure out what happened. And if I cut the video too short. This is Jai's POV. Yeah, that's my bad, folks. We'll try and get to you the video really quickly. Let's see if I can. I think I can put it on. Koga, if you have any way of putting, do you have any way of putting a video on display that's not on the software here?
I think what we could do is also, I don't know if you can upload it. If we can show it last at the end of the night.
Definitely, I'll try and upload it as we're live. Let's move on to the next game, and I'll quickly upload the other video. Apologies, folks. That's on me. Real life Netrunner. So yeah, let's go on and see what happens in Jai versus Ren's second game. So the opposite side, when Ren is playing their wizard against Jai's Scorpios. Anarcha, what do you think of this matchup? Anarcha, you here? Butter?
I had my mic muted there that whole time. We're having a great night for technical work here. Yes, so as I was saying, while I was muted, this is kind of interesting because it's a cipher whiz. So we're probably going to see things like Parasite and Chisel, and potentially even Arceus crew as well might have made the jump into Eternal. This is a weirder dynamic, I think, to the more regular runners into Scorp. The wizard deck does play things like symbol chip and clone chip to kind of recur all of your ice destruction. So Jai is able to get around that, but actually blowing up some of the ice might actually be enough, or might actually be a way around the kind of the rig shooting capabilities of Scorpio. So I'm kind of interested to see how a more ice destruction heavy version of Wizard fares into this Scorpios deck that Jai has been persevering with, really championing Scorp, a very underplayed identity in Eternal. But sticking with it from phase 1, sticking with Andy and Scorp from phase 1 into phase 2. So yeah, very interested to see how this wizard pairs into Scorpios.
Nice. Let's get into it then.
Let's go.
We see starting hands. Ren looking at their cipher and a few tools, but very little economy and definitely no draws. It looks like a mulligan to me, even though they're hovering over the keep button. So maybe they value the cipher into this matchup particularly highly.
Yeah, they could be like they could see that they're having access to cipher early as more important. This does look like a bit of a mulligan to me, just because of how clunky it is. You've no burst economy now. We don't know what burst economy they have access to. Gambles are a safe bet. But yeah, I'm not 100% on this as a keep. It looks pretty much this looks a pretty clear mulligan to me. But again, I haven't played this deck a ton, so maybe Ren has more insight into this. Going for the keep, interesting. Okay.
I actually mentioning the Titanium as a important tool in the matchup. Definitely something that Jai looks forward to as a way to deal with some of the ice destruction. Doesn't get around the crew, which is one of the latest addiction in the matchup, but definitely deals with the chisel that we see on top in Ren's hand.
Ren going for some early aggression here, just poking R&D and HQ, trying to get some accesses. Not trashing the Regolith here.
Yeah, that's surprising, especially given the wizard credits deal with that. And I think what Jai has been saying that single Regolith is holding the whole Dex economy. So
the power of a single Regolith.
Yeah. Jai goes for an early Eminent Domain score. Really good agenda to kind of put the tempo of the game up for the Corp. We've seen almost every scoring Wayland deck using it. So you probably don't want to put it in a deck that doesn't want to score a lot of agendas, but if you intend of scoring agendas, that's a really good 3-1.
Yeah, it's just a really, really ridiculous amount of value that you get tutoring, installing, and rezzing for paying 0 costs. Yeah, getting these archers for free is really, really strong. I'm
interested in seeing Ren being this aggressive into running all these remotes. I mean, obviously, all the centers rather. Obviously, we see the crowdfunding getting some kind of value. But yeah, Ren decides to change their play, especially when it comes to having to run three different servers for no additional value, just to install the crowdfunding where you could just pay 0 credits in a single click and put it down on the board.
Interestingly enough, Jai, so that Black Orchestra was discarded. I don't know if Jai just missed it, but not going for the Scorp there on the Black Orchestra, and maybe I'm misremembering how Scorp works. Maybe discard are immune.
This card doesn't count as trash, so you get to put your bin breakers in archives that way, at least, without having Scorpios remove them.
Okay, cool.
And the annoying part of this matchup for Ren, at least, is that all their recursion tools between bin breakers and crowdfunding and the clone chip do not work particularly well when dealing with Scorpios.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's if you can kind of play around getting the programs into archives, and you can get the symbol chips down, it forces you into really, really awkward break pattern, or really into awkward use patterns with your recursion elements and your breaker installs. So yeah, not great for Ren, the recursion getting kind of blanked a little bit by Scorpios.
Absolutely, and Jai is slowly icing up all the centrals, having this what looks like a fairly secure remote, and emptying out the regulate again to find enough money to res all these eyes. We'll see if he pushes something, or if it's just another piece of asset that gets more value. Ren looking, I think, desperately to find their way into putting a cipher on the board. Their deck kind of works around having that cipher, but the 5 credits is prohibitively expensive in some situations. And I think several of these Anarch decks are kind of maybe skimping on the credits, but now with all the money spent, we get to run the Archer for free and remove it from play at least.
Yeah, we're gonna see the real strength of Cipher. You reduce your maximum hand size by 1, so just reducing down to 4 hand size instead of 5, and you just get to blank a piece of ice with any of the ice destruction tools. And Ren, yeah, just gonna throw out the Vamp and throw out the Earthrise. Yeah, the Vamp isn't doing much for you in this board state, and I don't think you're going to need 2 Earthrises, even if you can get the money to install the second one. I don't think you're going to really need it at this point. So,
I really like Ren's decision to keep the second copy of Cipher in hand. We've seen Hunter Seeker off the top of R&D, and we know Jai is looking to deal with the powerful console once Ren steals one agenda. So keeping the second copy and being ready to install it again and be ready to run after it is definitely important.
Absolutely. And yeah, Jai's just thinking on the Scorp. The Scorp triggers. Scorp on JNet is not the easiest corp to play.
Yeah. Once again, shout out to NB Kelly, who I think recently implemented a quicker, easier way to deal with Scorpios on JNet. So Thank you for all the JNet devs coming back and dealing with some old interactions.
Absolutely. Eddie Kelly is a fan of internal himself, so probably very very happy to I think plug some of the gaps here a little bit. But yeah, just definitely an idea that you want to be on voice comms to make things easy to make things easy for yourself.
And we
and
see
yeah,
our
we're
friends in
seeing
high
that
places.
crew.
Yeah. Crew coming down, but like the SDS getting scored, dealing with the current, and then friends in high places installing the regulate back again, so Jai has more money to res all these eyes.
Yeah, this Scorp deck has been really, really fascinating to watch. I've loved watching Jai play it. I know Jai has maybe complained a little bit about Scorp and how it hasn't maybe worked out super well for him. But it's been really cool to see the idea explored. It's an idea that people have kind of written off a little bit, I think. So it's been really, really fun to watch him kind of like come up with this very, very powerful, I think, rig shooter deck. Having access to things like eminent domain, friends and eye places is just aiming to prevent the runner from being able to actually run and win the game.
It's surprising how effective it is into almost all of the runners we've seen, apart from maybe some of the Andromeda builds. The ID ability for Scorpios is incredibly effective at slowing down all the engines, and it's hard to find the win every time, but it's definitely posing challenges for every runner we've seen play against it.
The other powerful thing that Scorp is able to do is like having access to Hunter Seeker. It makes medium. Obviously, Ren is installed in now. It is probably Ren's best win condition. But it does make your medium really, really awkward because as soon as you touch an agenda, the typical kind of play pattern that you want is you run with medium, or you run R&D, you just take the single, but you put the counter on medium, and then if you touch, you basically play it as if it was turning wheel, you just slowly farm counters, and if you touch an agenda, you basically have to go, right, I need to kind of win now or win very, very quickly because my board is going to start to get my board is going to get dismantled pretty soon.
Yeah. We see the important standoff of border control and Chisel, and we see Jai decides to pop the border control, eat the click from Ren, and the STS from the top. A must steal for Ren, but definitely something they were not super happy to find, as it hurts medium, precious medium right away, and at least it doesn't get removed right quickly because of the Scorpio ability getting used on Chisel first.
Ren Katorgaing HQ, but you still have access. Actually, I forgot that they still have access to crew. So only really border control hurts here as a res.
We know. I think we know the Ison R&D is an archer.
Yes, you're so right. We know that's an archer on HQ. So yeah.
Or HQ, yeah.
Ren, this is a good window for Ren to fire off the Katorga. I'm finding an SSL.
Really, really important steal. Now they're both on game point. Jai is 1 3-pointer off, but Ren is only needs one more agenda to find.
One more agenda, and crucially as well, this is the only window Jai has now to fire off Hunter Seeker.
Yeah.
After this turn, the Hunter Seeker is going to be blank for the rest of the game.
Definitely critical position here. Ren is slightly too poor to put down another Cipher and put up pressure right away. But I think Jai will fire the Hunter Seeker on the first Cipher anyway. Probably not expect the second one to come out very quickly. So if Ren can find just a few more credits, they're definitely on a track to get more medium triggers on R&D and finding more agendas.
think as Jai, you need to take this window to just fire off the Hunter Seeker. If you have another piece of ice in hand, I think you just plop it into R&D. But yeah, Ren has managed to find some just very, very good accesses here. And yeah, stealing the SDS, as much as it hurts in the moment, you can see how much that's paid off now. Yeah, it would be very interesting to see what Jai can do here to kind of swing the tempo back a little bit, because right now, despite the board state and despite the Scorp activations and how kind of tough this matchup is, it's currently, I would say, quite nicely in favor of Ren. Thanks to some clever play with the holding the reserve Scorp. Going for the crew instead, though, so maybe a Chthonium in hand.
Yeah, possibly seizing instead of removing the console, which there could be multiples. Jai goes for the threshing power card, and then puts the ice back on track with that second copy of Friends Nine Places.
Another thing as well, Ren's crowdfunding has been sitting in the heap since it was trashed. They haven't had an opportunity to run back and get those triple runs in to get that crowdfunding back, which is, when you look at how long the game is beginning to go on, those credits and looking at how tight the credit margins have been for Ren would have come in very, very very, very useful over the course of this game.
Yeah, I wonder if Ren looked at the board and figured out, I have to run quickly. I have to find points early on. I have to abuse the fact that the corp doesn't have that many ice on R&D and kind of try and close the game early. Because once the lock comes on, I'm never going to touch cards in central servers again. And so probably they figured out, I'd rather play the more aggressive lines, put down the programs and the Cipher and all the chisels, and trying to find my way, put a hole in R&D and find my way to more agendas.
I think you might be right. I think this is Ren just saying that I'm not going to have a window to fire off the crowdfunding. But here we're seeing Jai just install advance. If that's an SDS, this is a pretty good window to play it.
Yeah.
Because if Ren wants to get into this server, likelihood is, or they're just not contesting at all. Just saying, call your bluff.
Yeah, they don't press the fact that then all the ice could probably keep them out, and Jai scores out. Wow. Last copy of SDS, definitely the perfect agenda to push in that situation.
Yeah, and you see Ren just sort of saying that, yeah, I think they didn't think that was going to be the winning agenda. Yeah, might have just thought that was actually just going to be like an NGO or something, and just said, you know what, if you have it, you have it, I guess.
Yeah. So let me put on the previous game, or rather, I think there it is, and let me show you how that game ends.
Excellent.
Awesome, yeah.
Oh, great.
I just want to get through all the last game that we cut a little bit short.
Yeah, so we see here. So in the meanwhile, while we're taking a break, yeah, we see here Jai was able to kind of money up a little bit. Crucially, finding another bacterial programming.
Apologies, I skipped way ahead. Let's try and.
Great!
I remember exactly where we left off.
This looks about right, I think.
Awesome. So yeah, we have the rebirth into Sable as Ren is kind of setting up again. And Jai building up some more, only on 2 credits with the Desperado, so definitely a long way to deal with all the assets, but Ren is not posing much of a threat right now.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the last turn, I think we saw the blue moose get trashed.
Yeah.
So that's Jai's economy has been really, really or has been stopped pretty heavily in his tracks. Having a look at what is in his deck there, looking at his deck list, I think trying to decide if he wants to keep this Siphon for later, when it would maybe be more pivotal. Right now, Siphon's not doing much on this board state, and maybe he's happy to just sort of keep it, put it to the bottom, wait for later, for it to reappear at a better time, and just take the CBI raid as basically hit points. I don't think CBI raid is doing much of anything for you versus
No.
IG.
Quite unlikely. Unless the one thing I can think of is that if you CBI raid and then force some kind of shuffle, you might be able to stick current that otherwise Ren would probably have an answer to fairly easily because of how many cards they've drawn. And this is where Jai finds the second bacterial programming.
Yeah.
Single poke on HQ with that bravado and the Sable trigger as well.
So this is good for Jai and getting up to 6 points. IG typically doesn't have the eternal points available to play Obokata Protocol. Yeah, Jai is pretty safe that the next agenda he touches, he will be able to steal and win the game with. But bacterial programming firing can be it can be game winning, and we see Jai, I think, wanted to make another run but completely forgot. We see him hovering his mouse angrily over the Excalibur, preventing him from getting another run in.
That's not happening.
That is not happening, my friend.
Ren putting down another damaging asset, finding their way into many of these bioethics/leatherwords. Definitely a good draw on that side, but being on one credit after firing 2 violet level credits does not feel great. The threat of the account siphon earlier on is definitely putting a bit of a hamper on what they can do with all these assets.
You do have the one thing that you do have access. Obviously, you have access to Rashida. So any Rashida fire gets you right back into this. Again, IG is happy to play very low to the ground. Once it's able to get a couple of things rezzed, 1 or 2 kind of net damage assets, or maybe a Keeling rezzed, it's happy to play at a very, very low credit total. But I don't think we're going to have time to see a Rashida fire.
Yeah. Ren on 1 credit and Jai on 4 clicks. This kind of looks like a checkmate.
Yeah, this is Jai just runs back and pays 0 each time.
Ren finds enough points to put in a Spin Doctor, but it doesn't look like it. And that's...
No, unfortunately.
Yeah. Ren sees the writing on the wall and kind of bats the same as Jai.
The players just having a laugh here. Yeah, Ren saying that they got pretty flooded from the bacterial programming. And yeah, just joking about how they couldn't rig the deck all that well. And yeah, falling to Jai's sweep here. So Jai pick up another very valuable 6 points here in the league, as he attempts to close gap with the top of the table. Jai, who didn't have the best record in phase 1, I think was sitting in the bottom 3rd, around 7th or 8th, I think. But has managed over the past couple of weeks to climb right the way back up into the standings. And I think this puts him tied on 18 points now, which is very, very good.
Important to say also that Jai had his bye week in phase 1, so that definitely looks a little bit worse on the scores, as you don't get to play you get to play 2 less games than your opponents. But now definitely catching up. I mean, that's the case. But I say that as if OF 1515 didn't have the first bye week on the first week of the tournament. So we see the 2 uneven games at least being fairly close, at least at this point. So with that, I think I'll bow out. I'll leave our friend Baram Wu to help you comment the rest of the games. Again, thank you for having me. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but if anything else happens, I'll be watching the stream and making sure to fix it right away. Bye, folks, and hope you enjoy the rest.
Thank you, Arlock. Baram Wu, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, everyone. It's like I was summoned by the technical issues.
You wouldn't happen to know anything about them, would you? Would you, Bob?
Never. Faultless. I'm a absolutely faultless streamer. But yeah, it feels good to be on commentary. Based on my standing at the regional yesterday, I'll probably be commentating forever from now on, as I am clearly officially washed up. So yeah, all good stuff.
It's
Fun
it's
time.
fine. You're in good company here, but I also I am also settled into the two not good enough to play but good enough to commentate role.
Yeah.
So we're in good company here.
Those who can't play, commentate. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's been good game so far. Nice to see Scorp pulling out a victory. I've also been playing around with a fair bit of Scorp, and mainly just struggling because I can't. If you're like you mentioned, if you're not in voice chat, it's really hard on JNet to actually focus on what's going in the bin, what's being trashed, and I don't have the concentration to do that, and so I miss Scorp figures all the time. Yeah, so I've just gone back to playing Blue Sun.
Classic.
Um,
Brilliant. So I think up next we have Silent Arbiter and Toron. I think next
well,
in the running.
That's a spicy
Isn't it
little package,
just?
isn't it?
So Silent Arbiter, who do we have running? So Toron is running, so we're going to get to see Silence. Absolutely incredible corp that we got to see last week. A Jumon Mushin mitosis sort of shell game Mati into Cabinets of Wu. Toron, the kind of the progenitor for World Tree Wu and Eternal, has been espousing the deck a lot. I think we can see a 210 card deck here for Toron. So nearly doubling his deck size from phase 1. Yeah, this is yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this Mati deck. Bah, how did you get to watch the stream? Did you get to see this Mati in action?
I did. Now I'm not going to take credit for this build because I won't. But the idea behind it was something which I had been toying with, and I mentioned it to Silent about a few hours, I think, before decks were due for this phase. And I got a message from Silent because I just said, yeah, well, I thought it would be fun to do sort of mitosis / Mushin in Mati, because then you've also got the threat of the ice, blah blah blah. And I got a message from Silent about 2 hours later saying, so I've registered my deck list. It's Mushin MTI. Built it, and yeah, watching it do its thing last week was absolutely phenomenal. Everyone loves seeing a Jumon scored. It's the most ridiculous agenda you can score, in my opinion.
Sure.
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
Especially in Eternal. So let's see Kanjai, or let's World Tree. So yeah, let's dive in.
So I think this will be my first World Tree deck that I've been commentating on.
Ooh, interesting.
I've certainly played a little bit with it, but it's fascinating to see people's lines, and I mean it's also just fascinating to see what people have put in, because this is hardly a solved deck, and I mean we immediately see a pretty interesting borrowed satellite, I believe that is, in Toron's hand.
Satellite. That is a card. The only reason why I know that card exists is because it came up for me in Gordian Blade once. My daily Gordian Blade was a borrowed satellite.
Yeah, that feels like the only time which you'd normally kind of come across it. Something like that, something like a trivia quiz. But yes, I guess it's probably, I don't know for sure, but it's probably 0 or 1 cost to install and has a small amount of value somehow.
Torrent just running in, getting the combo set up, finding a snitch.
Oh my word. Okay, so I'd heard rumors about this. So it was either, I believe it was Warlock recently who put together the like snitch package deck with Amakua and Zamba and sort of doing the what's the one other card that you need for that combo where you can sort of see the card and jack out, or is that maybe that is Snitch?
Oh yeah, it's GPI net tap.
Yeah, GPI net tap.
Replaced with Snitch in the list. Yes.
And it was actually like he was worried it would be too slow, but I was playing a deck with ice, and my word, did it feel disgusting to play against.
Yeah, the Snitch deck is fascinating once it kind of gets going, and you get this sort of engine. You get this engine going of exposing ice, and we're seeing a Sysantan, or no, sorry, not Sysantan, a Swordsman.
Swordsman. It's a fun tech choice. So it looks like we're just kind of setting up, classic Degdeer. Might have to remind myself exactly what Snitch does, because I can never remember. I didn't really play those bits and pieces, so hard for me to say.
Snitch, I believe, as we see, a Cyber Solutions mem chip, which is a lily pad without the text, basically. Snitch, I believe, is when you approach an ice, you can expose it. I think it's once per turn.
Yeah.
Which you combo that. Obviously, the combo is Au revoir and Zamba, which lets you just accrue a huge amount of is it Au revoir? Oh no, sorry, I am thinking of a Zamba. Yeah, you basically get to resemble this sort of Rube Goldberg-esque machine of clicking for 3 credits and getting a bunch of counters on Amakua. And we're seeing here a little glimpse into what is on the what World Tree Woo has access to program-wise. I saw a Slap Vandal, I saw a Yogg, I saw where did it go?
Do we still have Ankusa here? Like, I know, we still got an Ankusa and we got a Lamb. So the sort of really disgusting option of just sending all the ice back to hand is always there. Probably feeling quite safe with one Swordsman already on the table to get this Amakua out. Silent, kind of known for playing cheaper ice in general. Like a lot of his builds tend to be quite low on the ground in terms of the ice res cost. So this turtle probably gets us through most things here.
Yeah, I don't think we got to see much ice from the Mati deck last week. I can't remember if there was anything stand out, but yeah, I can't see this deck running a ton of the big ice like DNA Tracker and Shiashis that we see in the Glacier versions. So
I wouldn't be surprised if it was on more things like Anemone and stuff like that, where if you decide to run one of these 4 advanced things, but you've got a bunch of cards in hand, so you feel okay, and then an enemy gets rezzed, and you maybe take 2 or 3 net damage, and then a 4 advanced card looks a fair bit scarier. At least, the one thing that World Tree Woo List has really got in this matchup is that in a lot of cases, you don't care about losing everything that you have in hand. Like your hand is like the worst bit of your deck.
Yes, absolutely.
So as long as Toron can find some draw here, the ice isn't really that scary. Like unless there's suddenly, I don't know, an archer or something ridiculous. Something that trashes programs basically is all you really need to avoid.
Pretty much. We're seeing the Ankuza get drawn there. Again, ending up in, as you say, the worst place your cards to be in this deck is actually in your hand. Seeing a burner as a nice little tech option, not going to get a ton of value if they fire it off now.
No, one turn too late for that, unfortunately. Haven't seen the Mushin in hand. Ankuza probably about the worst breaker that you could ask for in this matchup, considering MTI's text.
But we're just seeing an Obokata getting scored, snuck out there on the table through the Mushin, and just playing another card into server 4. Yeah, I guess that is the issue with this Petit deck is you have the fun shell game, Jinteki, sort of mind games at play, but then you also have to sort of say, well, there's also all this pretty scary ice defending all of these traps. So yeah, a bit of an interesting kind of cat and mouse dynamic going on here between the two decks. But Torn, I think, is just happy to kind of set up in this position, just keep fetching out these programs of Woo to feed to the World Tree. Probably just looking for hardware and ways of getting their MU up at this point.
Yeah, I think some draw, some form of clickless draw is probably would be the most useful. Unfortunately, there's not really any programs other than Reaver, which we saw in Augustus's deck earlier, which kind of have that ability. This Marathon coming in clutch here, not a card that we see very often, although did feature in another incredibly powerful Woo deck. So.
Yes, it was one of the many ways in which the infinite credit Woo deck from many moons ago now at this point would one of the ways they would use their infinite credits to actually end up winning the game. Tron going for a run in HQ here after the Spin Doctor res. And correctly guessing that it was the Anansi, so getting paid off for jacking out there. And yeah,
I don't think it was a guess. I think Snitch showed the Anansi.
Oh, you're so right. You are so right.
This card is quite good.
This card is very, very good, as it turns out, especially when you get to compare it with Amakua.
Especially here, like this is sort of kind of where Toron's been playing a lot of World Tree and has worked out these things. Like the one kind of thing you want to be able to do is just to run into ice. But then if you run into something that's a bit scary, you do want this option to be able to either deal with it at that point or jack out, because you're normally using your SMCs for kind of pulling out your rig pieces. So you can't really just have a SMC hanging around on board ready to deal with stuff. You want to be able to tutor all of your bits and pieces with World Tree, because it's far more efficient.
We're also seeing in the list of pieces, the list of cards that in the list of cards that you don't you were surprised to see in World Tree, we see a patron.
I'm not surprised to see that at all. I think I think that was in pretty much every version of World Tree that I've ever played.
Okay,
it's clickless to draw 2 cards.
You know what? You're so right. You're so right, Bob.
And it costs free to install, which is like your perfect World Tree discount.
As we're showing, and as we will see over the course of phase 2, I am clearly not shaper brained enough for these World Tree decks. They are exploring the limits of being a shaper player, never before seen, I don't think.
So we did just see this turn a double hyperdriver pop, leaving Toron with 9 clicks or 10 clicks to do stuff in. There also might have been a potential foul play last turn, because I have a feeling Pikachon should have been returned to hand from the Anansi, because Toron gained clicks off the hyperdriver. I'd have to go back and watch it. I'm not gonna, you know.
Is Peter Chow not gaining clicks on a run though?
Yeah, but so no, it's gained clicks this turn. I think I'd have to double check it. I might be wrong.
Interesting. Okay, I thought it was gain clicks on a run, but not. It doesn't look like it's been too. Did the Peter Show get bounced a hand anyway? I'm not seeing it on the
No,
board.
it got turned into a hyperdriver by World.
Okay.
But we have a second Pikachu in hand here, and Net Celebrity. You know, that's a credit you can use on a run. Oh, borrowed satellite. We now see that it's free credits to install a borrowed satellite, and it gives you additional hand size. So I wonder if that's IG tech or something along those lines.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's also just another. Again, actually, it is it's been very interesting. I have to say, it's been very interesting to see the differing sort of deck building philosophies between World 3 Woo players. Because you see, Augustus had this kind of like, although it was playing 100 deck cards, looking for this kind of consistency with things like Reaver and all of these daemons. Whereas Tauron is just saying, I can play all the tech. I can play every single tech card that I could possibly want. And we're seeing things like Borrowed Satellite and Net Celebrity in the list.
Okay, we've challenged both of these We're seeing a Net Shield come down, a classic kind of tech card against net damage, but only stops the first piece of net damage each turn, I believe. So it's the cheaper option because there's more expensive options such as feedback filter, but net shield I think is only one credit to basically stop one net damage, which is pretty good. It's like if you're dealing with things like IG where they have cards which ping for one net damage a turn, like just paying one feels pretty good. And here's a cool interaction which
this is great.
someone brought up. Installing a rabbit hole to get other rabbit holes so that you now have additional pieces of hardware to sell is very, very funky. Yeah, love this. And again, this snitch is gonna come in absolute clutch here because knowing exactly what this is, it's a swordsman. Looks like we're
happy to go through. Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe
I
getting
guess
something.
You can just get another Amakua if that's going to be your breaker of choice. But maybe Toronto's happy to just give up the Amakua at this point.
I mean, we do have a hush in this deck, so we can use Amakua to get through the swordsman using the hush. But yeah, we see very much tech choices when it comes to the ice here of multiple swordsmen. We also see a Nancy, which is particularly good into decks which are relying on Bankar. So kind of interesting, kind of fun. Interestingly, Torrent not particularly rich.
No, hasn't managed to get the
Rozekis
out. I presume in 200 cards there are 3 copies of Rozeki in there. I think I saw it on the program list earlier. But yeah, hasn't found a window to get Rozekis out. Hasn't been able to get. I don't know if they're on or if he's on Blue Moose as well.
I don't.
But yeah, so. He's struggling economically a little bit right now.
Well, actually, I was going to say there's probably not points, but the snitch. No, that wouldn't take.
It is 1 point.
Snitch is pointed. Interesting. Is it just a 1?
Yeah, that was I believe that was just a kind of a cautionary pointing. having access to the Snitch, Zamba, Amakua engine in Crim is very strong. So yeah, I think that was a bit of a cautionary tale, and we're kind of seeing the usefulness of Snitch in this game, being able to get that Amakua up to 5 strength pretty quickly without being able to make consistent runs.
We also saw an LLDS memory chip come down there, which is just a blank. Here's an extra 2 MU card, which is interesting because it suggests that Toron isn't on Lilypad, because he got that before getting a Lilypad. So I wonder whether we're on boat here.
Fascinating. Okay.
Or a different, basically, like Toron was on Lilypad last time. There's no reason that he'd have pulled out the OLDS if he was still on Lilypad. So unless something really weird is happening, I'm now really curious to see what console we end up on here.
I hadn't even considered Boat and Eternal, but if there's any deck to kind of jam a copy of Boat into, this is probably one of them. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, look, just saying, yeah, I'm happy to play all these sort of these other MU solutions in favor of getting an ice breaking tool instead. Silent, not having as great a start as he did last week, has kind of used some of these spins to kind of fix what I imagine are some clunky hands. He's managed to get an Obokatus snuck out, but has missed getting a Jumon scored, which I think is really the glue, kind of, or at least the key piece to making the deck kind of really sing a little bit.
I think we're also seeing a little bit of the reasoning behind losing the Amakua. So if you get rid of the Amakua, then this swordsman kind of doesn't do anything, because the net shield prevents the net damage for 1 credit, and then you don't have an AI to lose. So I think Toron ditching the Amakua was his way of saying, I'm just going to run through your swordsmans for at least as long as it takes me to get like fully set up. And until that point, I don't care about the damage.
Yeah, I think you're right. These swordsmen are not doing a whole ton really in this board state. It's just it's just presenting a 1 credit tax, which if you're a Toron, you are more than happy to pay. But we're seeing a push here. This is sorely tempting. Seeing a motioned card get iced up, especially in Mati. So this could be a Jumon at 7 credits. It's a little bit of a risky push. But
I assume we're maybe getting we're going to put this Mayfly down possibly to contest it, but maybe there's a better way that Toron has. Yeah, see, flame out. This suggests to me we're pulling a Mayfly and then we're gonna run this server. Might be realizing that the only Mayfly left is in hand. Again, the worst place, the worst part of your deck, or for a program anyway. Oh, but MU's a big issue here. So flame out,
you can't get it.
Very cool, but you've got to host it on it.
Yeah, the decks. This is the funny thing about this World Tree deck, is that because it relies on these daemons for MU solutions, when you need to actually install a program onto the rig itself, you're actually up against some real MU constraints, and the only MU granting card is the LLDS Memory Diamond.
And this is something that I've run into issues with before, because I've assumed that I have enough MU, and I've tried to pull out, say, a Slap Vandal, and of course that runs into exactly the same problem. Here we're seeing a Sysentan, I believe, seen by the Snitch, maybe just taking.
We can break with the lamb pretty.
Okay, yeah, for 4, that's fine. Let's see if we get an MTI trigger. We do.
It's a Tatubola.
So it looks like Toron's getting in here. Nicely, this is always going to give you enough credits to potentially fire off a like a cerebral. It was a Jumon push. Very nice call.
Ooh, very well called by Toron there. Guessing spot on. And yeah, we're gonna see the Oiler get RFG'd manually there. As it was fetched out by Cabanassawu, but 2 Jumons gone. That's a big blow for Silence. For this Mushin or this kind of shell game Mati deck.
Yeah, I think unfortunately they're Toron missing the line of, I believe, if you just boost the Oiler with the flame out by 1 credit, it would have trashed itself and thus not been RFG'd from the game. I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Yes. That yes, so long as you use the credits, you can stack the triggers so that the flame out trashes the Oiler.
Okay. Oh, we're so we're just going for some more building. Again, this snitch just meaning that none of this ice is a nasty surprise at any point. Although
it's been so useful. This game.
How much influence? 2 influence? I can't quite see from here.
I think it's 2 inf. I don't think it's more than 2 inf anyway. So yeah, pretty easy. As a one-off, a very easy include when you can just fetch it out of your deck at pretty much any point with World Tree.
Kind of card I would adore to be playing in Arasana.
Oh yeah, 100%.
like the absolute ideal thing. It's like I'm just gonna put this down and then I'm gonna run everything, and then I'll know whether to continue because I've got what I need in hand or on the board already. Very fun. We're seeing the classic top hat include, which was the old World Tree standard, because it was the best or maybe only possible 0 cost hardware you play in standard when it was legal. So this was your this is how I'm gonna get my
your endurance.
Was it? Yeah, it was endurance, wasn't it?
Yeah, World Woo got banned. Woo and endurance got banned at the same time. So yeah, back then for the brief month that you had where you could play both World Tree and endurance, Top Hat was basically your endurance on demand. Some connoisseurs may remember Top Hat Insight as a fun little combo deck. That was I'd say you're a man who's played a lot of Top Hat Insight in your time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, if there's a obscure shape of Wincon, I've tried it at some point or other. I don't think there's one out there that I haven't at least put some effort into. So here we just see like a double advance push behind the ice. Could be a push for a score, could just, obviously it could just be a trap, or it also looks a little bit to me like it could be something like a Charlotte or an NGO front, but we'll kind of find out here. Torrent deciding to check it.
It's also, you're in a position where you can't take advantage of the fact that Torrent does only have, or has very few, liquid credits right now. The World Tree has generated a ton of money over the course of this game, and a ton of value, but in terms of actual money to break ice with, Toron is limited, and as you can see, Toron. Are we going to see the clone ship? Yeah, clone ship is going to pull back the Mayfly, which will get us.
Here the Oiler not being in the bin.
Yeah,
I mean,
was about to say this is
kind of pretty big.
This is missing that flame out trigger, or that flame out interaction to get the Oiler into the heap. Has kind of bitten Toron a bit. Here's the
Tatubola continuing to just be an absolute ridiculously good card. Oh, but no ice to swap with this time, so
yes,
not quite as busted here.
which is a bit of a ooh. We see the cerebral.
I mean, good thing we got a ton of borrowed satellites in this deck, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we might get to see the borrowed satellite tech come into play here to take care of some of the damage for the cerebral overrider.
Yeah.
Another top hat coming down, likely to be turned into another piece of recursion or possibly a breaking. Again, we still haven't seen a console, so I think you might be right on the endurance being the console of choice, which is very fun to see.
I mean, it's either that or we're consoleless, but then I'm very confused. Unless I think I did say that LLDS just gives 2 MU. I have a funny feeling that it might give +1 hand size as well, because Toron's been on like an extra hand size for most of the game, and I can't work out where it's coming from.
LLDS gives you an MU, it gives you a hand size, and it also gives you a link.
I'm confusing it with something else then. There's a 4 credit piece of hardware which is just have 2 MU.
Yes, Augustus was playing it in the last game. It's Cyber Solutions Mem chip.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
is again, as I said during the game, it is a lily pad without text.
Yeah. But sometimes when you just need MU and you can install it for 1 credit, then that's
fine.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
So Torrent is fishing R&D now. At this point in the game, I think they're happy enough to just start looking for singles, looking to find that last agenda. There's only 15 cards left in R&D, and only 3 agendas seen. So the agendas have to be somewhere.
We do see that the anemone getting res there, which was a card I was kind of assuming was going to be in here. We've seen there's a lot of sentries in this list. Oh, and there's the Fuji for the win.
There's the Fuji. Well played, Toron. Well managed. Yeah, it's a shame for Silence. The deck never really the deck wasn't able to find that Jumon to get the kind of the engine rolling a little bit. It looked like they had some kind of slower turns. They weren't able to get any like major gas going. Oh, it looks like we're skipping ahead. But yeah, just very, very unfortunate there for Silent, but still an incredibly fun deck to watch. In Eternal. Traps Matee. Yeah, just a great addition to the league and a great addition to the format.
Yeah. I think Koga, I think you need to go back apparently and load back in game 1 of Torrent. Yeah, there we go. I think we're sorting out now. Lovely stuff. Yeah, and kind of seeing Wu do its thing even without, like we said, Wu didn't really have money most of that game, but still just making it work with the resources that it had.
Continuing with the trend of Wu, so we've seen Wu in, I think, half our games now. We've seen 3 Wus, I think. Yeah, here we see the only non-World Tree Wu, and we can see from the opening hand, it's Vamp Wu from Silent Arbiter. So Silent really, really bringing the deck building chops to the ESL this phase with Vamp Wu and Traps Matee. Did you get to see this in action last week?
I did, and I think it's less the fact that it's Vamp Wu and more the fact that it's just a Silent deck. And I think Silent's Eternal decks start with 1 copy of Vamp and then get built around that. I haven't seen a Silent player run a deck which doesn't have at least 1 copy of Vamp in it for a while. So yeah, this is kind of almost a Wu archetype, which people will be very familiar with. This is I'm going to get 3 Rizekis out turn 1, turn 2. Kind of very easy to do now because we have a very easy access to a little credit burst if we need it, in the form of a Rizekis, and then just have this kind of just ticking up constantly, constant drip going in. And then I believe, if I'm correct, this is on siphons, right? I think this is on like 3 copies of siphon and a vamp, something along those lines. And so it's just really looking to lock down the money on the corp side whilst having eternal money on its side, which could be really interesting to see against CI, especially this CI, which isn't quite as rich as some other versions.
Yeah, so this is Tauron's it's brain rewiring, but it's brain rewiring with, I believe, is it Jupstad and defective brain chips.
Yeah.
If I've remembered my currents right. So yeah, so this is the brain rewiring combo out of CI, but rather than using brain rewiring plus show of force or contract killer, it's instead saying we're going to play Jupstad grid, we're going to get a defective brain chips down, and that's how we're going to stack it so that we deal 2 core damage off of the Jupstad after paying for the brain rewiring. So yeah, really interested to see how these 2 decks play against each other. Some kind of off meta in different degrees of off meta at play here, but yeah, very excited to see what this Wu deck does into CI.
Yeah, looks like that's just a solid keep, like 1 Rozeki in hand, and probably I would imagine that in this matchup, like just having that vamp in hand from turn 1 is actually probably pretty significant for Silent here. Probably not looking to fire it off this turn, I don't think, but I'm not gonna completely like call call that one out. I think we're gonna set up here with Trick Shot. That's a banned card. Corporate Hospital.
Corporate Hospitality, good hit, finding an Ysengrin flush, and going after server 2, and yeah, going to fetch out the Rozekis.
Which looks like we might well get all 3 Rozekis on board here turn 1, depending on. Oh no, like also getting it for ECR. Assuming this is going to be some kind of wage workers or something along those lines that we want to be able to trash.
Second spin doctor. Ooh. So not a terrific start there for Tauron. Double spin doctors down by turn 2, but finding the corporate hospitality it will get you out of a pinch. We'll get one of these. Wait, hang on. Was there another corporate? Oh yeah, it was trashed. Silent trashed the other corporate hospitality. So corporate hospitality to get back corporate hospitality into hedge fund.
Yeah.
We're also putting it vamp proof now, so this vamp isn't going to do a ton into this board. So finding the big deal. I don't know what big deal is doing in this this CI deck. Maybe we're getting salvo testings down. Who knows?
It might just be a way of. It might just be a way of scoring the
brain rewiring.
Yeah, the brain rewiring. It is a bit more clot proof than other options, which is kind of interesting because
very true. Yeah.
You kind of like it's very very obvious if you use a kind of biotic play, whereas you might just be able to sort of kind of call an action, they don't say anything, and you go, okay, well, I big deal out this 1 pointer, which wins me the game.
Point, yes.
I don't know how necessarily correct that is, but we'll find out.
We'll find out. And yeah, both players are kind of in a bit of a weird sort of setup phase. Tauron obviously wants to assemble the combo in hand and get all of his combo pieces together. Silent is just happy to play a pretty normal shaper game plan, to be honest. Get triple Rozekis down, get your money done for the game, and just find the multitude of tech pieces that you have access to.
Really trying to find those account siphons is probably the big thing for Silent here.
Yeah. We're seeing an Angler Flush. We'll see. Does it name right? Event here wouldn't be too bad. Program isn't a bad hit. Getting the Inti and the Palangi, so that's an ice-breaking solution then. Already off the bat.
Yeah, although I think I'd much rather be getting rid of. Ooh, we see a spicy card, which definitely has text, which I couldn't tell you what it does. I can't even remember which one of the two, which I don't know it is. That one is because I know.
All I know about Helion beta test is that its trigger condition is
Is that the one where if you install a resource? Is it if you install a resource?
If they installed a resource, if you beat the trace, you can trash an installed resource and take a bad pub. I think.
Yeah, or I think it might be trash and install card. I think it's not necessarily resource. Okay, we'll see here if we see the employee strike, I always assume, get played. Now Torrent's going to have a counter current by this point, but
sure,
it at least, well, unless he also has a win here. I wonder if is there a window to pop this stone chip in the middle of the combo? I would imagine not.
No, once you score, we see a biotic coming down. Once you score the,
Oh,
I suppose that's a good way of dealing with an employee strike. Just scoring a Vacheron.
yep.
So I'm just firing off a blind siphon. Honestly, not bad.
Yeah, what end of run I see expecting here? That ends the run. Wowza! I mean, can you give? Can you just give the extra clicks here?
You can't. So you can't take the core damage.
I think you can take the core damage because I don't think you. I think you can take the core damage because I don't think it really helps Toron win by you having like two more core damage. It doesn't help the combo.
If anyone correctly guessed what could they run into a tier, you're a liar.
Yeah.
You did not correctly guess that. I don't believe you.
I mean, Torrent's down on only 7 credits here, so we haven't seen an immediate YDL, and we haven't seen an immediate archive for a YDL. Oh, okay, right, we see a YDL. Ignore me. There's 2 of them.
YDL, biotic. Into another
big deal. Oh my gosh, we score out of project. We're just gonna score project. Oh my word! I have a feeling that last week, when this game went down and it looked like it was all over from turn 1, after Augustus installed a Caldera, I'm pretty sure there was like, well, I don't think Torrent's got any way of scoring out here. Torrent just scored out in 2 turns or 3 turns, kind of. Wild. That's what the big deals are doing. There you go.
They're giving a backup plan. Well, they're well, what a heck of a game for Toron to get the sweep here in week 5. With this fascinating brain rewiring CI deck that so far has only killed a brain rewiring once. This phase, it has this week. So yeah, congratulations to both players. Congratulations to Toron for continuing picking up another 6 points. 3 sweeps so far.
I also really like the fact that that the deck it has this kill plan, but Toron's given there's some backup plan there. There are other ways that the deck can win. So if there is enough tech on the runner side that it's like, well, I'm just not going to be able to kill through this. we're assuming that it is still on this brain rewiring plan, right? Have we actually did we see that last week or not?
Did we see brain reward? Actually, I think you're right. I think Jeff. I think it was Jeff versus Toron last week, and I think Jeff managed to actually win by finding the Vanity Project. So this might not be brain rewiring. This could just be a big deal deck.
Yeah, but we're still on Helion something. So there needs to be it's technically something. Also, apparently we got the wrong Helion test because we were thinking of Helion Alpha test, and Toron is currently on Helion Beta test. Don't ask me what the trigger is for that one. I do not know.
I don't even know what they these players. Toron is really exercising their knowledge of not just the eternal card pool, but also the the creation and control card pool, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that brings us to our final game of the night and of the week. Ysengrin versus of 15-15. Two players. Ysengrin currently sitting in second place, just one win behind of 15-15, who is currently undefeated so far in the league. The only undefeated player. And we'll see now. We've had 3 sweeps tonight. Will we have a fourth? And if we have a fourth, whose way is it going to go? Or will we see these players both take a game off each other? Jeff, continuing with Essa, he's been playing this deck for months, possibly years at this point. I think genuinely years, ever since Essa was introduced into Eternal. It's this breakerless Essa that we've seen with Clan Vengeance, DDoS, all the sabotage effects, and just wants to play a bunch of very aggressive events and disrupt you as much as possible. But the real treat of 15's an NEH deck. Ba, what are your thoughts on this wild Arella NEH7 list from of 15?
Indeed. So I was like struggling to remember it until you said that, and then I remembered the game from last week. And I mean, I'm all about this because I'm a big fan of playing fast break R+ in Eternal, which is a lot of fun and basically does the same thing. Because it turns out that breaking news is like a very silly agenda to play in R+. But yeah, I mean, this is really interesting because if Jess Esadak does not have a lot of money, and you kind of need to be able to shut down these the 2 5 cost 5 to trash assets if they turn up on the table, or you have to have I was going to say actually you have to have the world's biggest Clan Vengeance, but this all happens because it all happens in the same pay windows. For the same reason you can't clot, I assume you can't Clan Vengeance, right? So
correct, yeah. So
you'd have to pop the Clan Vengeance before the first score.
Yeah, and I think if they do, there's lines you can do where it's because it's firing off of Sansan and Arella. As soon as something hits the Sansan remote, you basically have to pop the Clan Vengeance there and then, because once they get one advancement, it's just combo town then from there.
And so actually, isn't this is on team sponsorship, so does it even matter? Is there team sponsorships in here?
I would assume so. It's essentially Russian NEH, but it's faster. Yeah.
I guess they don't come in with a. Okay, so maybe it does matter because they wouldn't come in with a counter, like as in compared to you can't irrelevant them from archives. Anyway,
no. But yes, we will see. We've seen the tech in action once. Let's see, can Jeff, with all of the disruption that Essa is able to provide, do enough to stop this fascinating Russian-style NEH deck from of 15? And can he take a game off of the only undefeated player in the league remaining?
What do you think about this opening? Because I could see a game where you see Jeff just install the keyhole, hit
And
running
click it
hot,
3 times.
click it like 7 times.
Yeah,
Literally even hit running hot, click it 6 times, hit amped up, click it another 3, like just absolutely hammering for it.
I kind of think that is a lot. If you mulligan into that, I think you're pretty happy with that game plan, and you just go super aggressively. But Jeff taking, I think, a slightly more conservative line, finding the rumor mill. That is, I think, one of the only pieces of tech that shuts down the deck.
Yeah, that will shut down the Arella side of things. It won't shut down the Sansan, but obviously that does make a big difference. Jeff there, unfortunately, losing the Light the Fire, which, as I said, it's quite tricky to trash those sort of big pieces if they end up on the board. That would have been the ideal way of dealing with that. Not going to happen this turn, though.
No. Yeah, so Jeff being able to contest the board is going to be tricky. I think now is kind of his window to contest. While there aren't a ton of threats on the board that you need to deal with, just saying, can he get any information? We're just seeing, I think, a slight change of order there from 115. But yeah, finding a Jeeves there in server 2. And this looks like a breaking news score to me. Yeah, there's a breaking news. So already out of the gates into a 1-pointer.
Just scoring that. So, kind of interested by the score there. I guess you're just getting points on the board. It might also suggest that there is that there is whatchamacallits in the deck. 24/7s.
Ooh, very good shout, actually. Yeah, there could be a 24/7. What would you be 24/7? Well, you're not on the boom plan. You're not trying to do 24/7 into boom.
No, but I think I can't. I don't remember exactly what we saw in terms of the agendas. But if there's freedom of informations in the deck, then absolutely busted
true.
alongside Arella and Sansan.
Jeff losing Brain Cage is a little bit more on the awkward side. He's not playing Marrow, so doesn't have access to that hand size solution. But he does find a Clan Vengeance, and he finds some burst economy, so not too terrible. I think he's going to go after this Turtlebacks here, or going after the Jeeves instead, actually. Just wants to deal with the high-powered asset rather than the economy here.
Yeah, I think the scarier thing here is probably off 15/15 getting 4 assets onto the board,
Yes.
or 4 cards onto the board. Like money, off 15 will need money to win, but only to a point. And I don't think Jeff has a way of stopping the money, so he might as well just let it happen almost.
Yeah. We're seeing here Titanium Ribs coming down. This is another key card for this deck. It lets you be selective about what you're taking damage to. Jeff now on Marrow. That's not a card that we saw last time, so he has made a slight change to this deck. Marrow could be useful here. You're going to get a lot of sabotage off.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, he was on a Desperado previously, and I think you'd have loved to be on Desperado
yes.
this time.
Desperado would go very hard in this board state, but maybe this Marrow is able to do enough, combined with other sabotage and other disruption effects. Maybe it's able to do enough into this kind of Russian deck. One thing as well that I completely missed with the breaking news score is that it did clear the rumor mill that Jeff was able to land.
Okay. Yeah.
Scoring it out. But there, we're seeing a very powerful combination here. Sensi, Actors Union, and Rashida Yahim gaining of 15/15 an extra 5 cards with some selection. Because Sensi's Actor Union, if you've never seen it being played before, it is an immensely powerful political asset. If you think federal fundraising is good, wait till you see this. This is like federal fundraising souped up a ton.
It's like a federal fundraising with 2 DBSs strapped to the bottom of it, and it costs 0 to res.
That costs 0 to res.
Absolutely nonsense.
Ridiculous card.
Okay. Oh, are we seeing it already? We see a shipment from Miramorph. This could be it. This what turn are we on? Are we turn like 4? Turn 5?
This is turn. We're too far down in the chat, but I think this is only something like turn 4. I think.
I kind of feel like it because I'm pretty sure that Jeff has fired S's ability every single turn so far, and is on 3 core damage. So I think this might be off 15/15's 4th turn.
This is off. Yes, this is the 4th turn. The 4th turn cycle of the game. Is this? Surely this isn't game. It's not.
Okay.
So fight another day. And that's a pretty good reprieve that he's able to get, because it's going to give him Marrow, it's going to give him Clan Vengeance here, and he's going to get a chance to DDoS, run this server 9, and steal whatever's in here.
Yeah, the DDoSes are the key here to Jeff being able to play this without breakers. It was an Astro.
That's big. Obviously, Astro still, as of recording, is sadly a only a one of. It is still errated, so that's the only Astro that is going to be in this game, and it is now in Jeff's score area. So that's a huge get for kind of the combo potential. But all 15/15 now has been able to fire Sensi's Actor Union 3 times. There have been 3 Sensi's activations across 2 different copies of it, and 2 Rashida fires. This could be a combo turn. If we see another shipment from Miramorph, this could be it.
Yeah, I mean, we've also, we've dug through almost all of the stack now. Now, some of it is in the bin. So,
yes,
if too much of it is in the bin, or if Jeff has managed to just sabotage all of the Sands or all of the Arellas or anything along those lines, then that might stunt the progress a little bit here. But
we also saw a Clan Vengeance fire as well after all of that. Gwent, this deck's on Estelle. What?
What? Because we don't have quite enough draw.
No, we don't have
that's
enough.
Insane. Like, next turn we're gonna start with the rest of the deck in hand. There's no chance, unless Jeff completely cleans this board. Every card will be in hand at the start of next turn. So either we combo next turn or we don't, in my opinion.
This is wild. Jeff now, I think, is just going to be. I think he's. What do you even dig for in this? I think you're looking. You're looking for Rumor Mill. Rumor Mill.
Yeah.
Closes down some of this, but you still have 2 Sensi's triggering.
I mean, you could, if Jeff thought that was the line, then surely you same old thing for Rumor Mill right there and then.
That's true, actually. Yeah, which very well could have bitten on 15 if they didn't choose to pop the Estelle straight away. So
no, I'll tell you what, I don't think it does enough, because off 15 can just score, right? Like he's on a ton of 2/1s and what have you. Where does it score and clear the current before the Arella would fire?
I think it does, but we're about to see something here. So we're seeing shipment from Miramorph. This is going to trigger Estelle 3. This is going to give 3 extra Estelle moon counters.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna have 5 cards left in R&D at the end of all of this. There's the Arella. There's the okay. I think it's go time.
Yeah, and then the rest of this turn is basically creditless as well, which is the wild thing here. So we see a breaking news to start off with. So that was scored for 1 point. And yes, here you see here we have the freedom of informations, which are now 2-2 agendas because of the 2 tags from breaking news. So we can just wheel these out, and there must be another 1 pointer in here by now.
Yeah, there has to be.
And if not, then I'm sure of 15 would have popped the Estelle.
The Estelle to find it. Yeah, what 6 turns is all it takes. And Jeff just saying was really worried about Boom. Was perhaps playing around a 24/7 breaking news combo. Obviously with these games being recorded kind of in advance, maybe Jeff didn't get to see the stream last week and see see that this was not. Yeah, very well played from off 15, who continues to be undefeated, 7-0 now in the league.
Yeah, and Jeff really needed these. Jeff currently in second, but kind of needed these wins to really have a chance of catching up properly with off 15. So let's see if he can pull it round to make it all square.
Yeah, so we have off 15 playing Wu. I think this is also a World Tree deck. We're seeing Endurance making a bit of we're seeing Endurance in the opening hand, so this could be you may have called the console of choice for World Tree Wu. Into Jeff's Ob. He has pivoted off of CI. He was in CI last phase. He's pivoted back to Ob. More than likely on a combo kill. He's been a big proponent of the kind of the mad combo with Jeeves and high profile targets. So this is a big game here.
I can't imagine Jeff being on anything other than that. There might be like 1 or 2 slight tweaks, but I would bet a rather large wad of money on it being a kind of I'm probably going to kill you turn 3 or 4 type game plan. So it'll be really interesting to see if World Tree Wu has the ability to get stuff out fast enough to deal with this. Because this can be a blisteringly fast deck if you don't have counter tech, and the best counter tech to this is something that you can't play in World Tree Wu, or it doesn't really work in it because you just want to be on rumor mill. Is your main thing. Like you can probably slow it down a bit by playing some, like things like maybe even Plascrete or other options like that, but like they're essentially only speed bumps because Ob can give unlimited with bunny ears around it amounts of tags and therefore do unlimited amounts of meat damage, just depending on how many cards it can get on the table. So it's it's not a case of like, oh, I can stop you doing 7 or 8 meat damage. You need to be able to stop it doing 16.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, let's see our last game of the week, our last game of week 5. Let's see, can Jeff dethrone off 15? We'll see, does off 15 bleed, or will we have an 8-0 player by the end of tonight? Let's dive in and take a look at the game. So yeah, my gut instinct here is that I think if you're Ob in this game, you're feeling pretty happy because I think World Tree Wu doesn't have this Ob deck can kill as quickly as turn 3. It's very, very fast and very, very powerful. So yeah, I really wonder, does and with the start like Estelle Moon into more than likely 2 installs.
Yeah, that's a very strong start here.
This is a great start, and we could be on track for a turn 3 or a turn 4 kill here. And the question is, does off 15 have the tech to beat this kind of a start from Ob, or do they have the speed to contest here.
So one thing is we do have the New Angeles City Hall in hand there, which is a very powerful tech card against tags. Now it's expensive, and Orb does have ways of blanking at least one sort of tech resource. So, but it would require, therefore, Jeff to be able to pull a Malia out of deck, which is the way which it would normally deal with a New Angeles City Hall. So, this might be one of the reasons that off 15 decided to keep this hand, because he doesn't even need to tutor for this. Also, the gamble in hand just often rounds out the opening, which you don't need to get World Tree down turn 1 in Woo, but being able to play a gamble before doing everything else means that you don't go quite so low on credits on that first sort of World Tree run. We could also there's a slight chance that off 15 doesn't decide to go for a turn 1 World Tree here.
I think you're right, and I think actually going for the World Tree here would actually be I don't think you have the time to do the World Tree, get Coalescence, do that, all those kind of tricks here. I think you need to find some kind of an immediate answer to the board, or at least find some kind of a tech or multiple pieces of tech just to bide you enough time, or if you've got any kind of disruption as well, just to get yourself a few turns to then set up your engine and continue on. But no, just playing Gamble and New Angeles City Hall. So Jeff is able to blank on the combo turn, one installed resource with the Jeeves, using Ob to trashing the Jeeves off the Mutual Destruction, using Ob to fetch a 1 coster, which then blanks the resource. But we're looking at huge amounts of gas here. Rashida fires into 2 more Estelle counters, so Estelle is going to be better than Rashida when she eventually fires. This is a blistering start from Jeff, and 3rd now, so Jeff has all the gas here. We could be very much on track for a turn 3 kill.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be really interesting to see how off 15 deals with this. Like, is it a case of, like, would you be pulling out multiple Parisias and just trying to clear the whole board? But even that's, you probably don't have enough Parisia bucks to clear a full Ob board. Jeeves is expensive to trash, and a lot of stuff just disappears as you run into it and becomes something else more annoying. So this is kind of fascinating. We're seeing a flame out here, so this is going to be getting some SMCs. Nice little interaction. Essentially 9 credits worth of free stuff. Okay, so off 15 here, sort of hovering over Hyperdriver. Hyperdriver is probably the one way that off 15 can really get back in, like get into this without like, or have enough clicks to get back into this, because at the moment Jeff is very much ahead. Off 15 feels a bit behind, but if over the next 2 turns off 15 can have 4 turns worth of turns, then he might be able to just sway things back a little bit under his control, and maybe that's what 15's considering here. Or he might just be working out the fact that possibly he needed to pull a Coalescence first, then the World Tree, so that he could run and pop things.
Yeah, I think this is the slight trickiness with Flameout and SMC. Flameout will let you pay for the activation cost of SMC, but it won't let you install the card with the Flameout credits. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which side of it you fall on.
It's also it's kind of tricky playing the whole World Tree engine versus Ob, because normally you, especially in these early turns, you want to get out the tree, you want to install a coalescence from your stack, and then you want to sort of challenge the remotes. But to do that, you kind of need to be, unless like, especially if you need to do anything else first, you need to be sure that the remote that you're about to run isn't just going to disappear as part of an ob trigger, because
Yeah.
half of the stuff on board will have instant trash costs that Jeff can trigger. So here, for instance, if off-15 was to try and run this Estelle Moon, which is probably the biggest threat on board, Jeff would just pop it, and suddenly you lose your world tree value. You're going to lose all sorts. We are seeing the Plascrete coming down. So this is what I was talking about. This will slow Jeff down a little bit. It's like a speed bump, but right now that might be enough to just kind of, force Jeff to find just a few more answers. Now we need to be able to deal with this New Angeles City Hall, although off-15 is not particularly rich, so actually it might be irrelevant.
I don't think that the New Angeles City Hall is, I don't think, a massive concern right now. And we're seeing a couple of things getting rezzed here. We see the Estelle got popped there end of turn. Finding the advanced assembly lines, again, this can get you. The fun thing about advanced assembly lines is it is two
installs.
It is two installs for your mutually assured destruction. Yeah, so you can pop it, install something from hand, then also use your ob trigger. Oh yeah, this is looking dangerous. We're seeing as Cyberdex Virus Suite, which is generally a good, useful card, but that is your extra copies of Jeeves. That is most likely what we're going to see. But no, Jeff going for extra gas, getting the Estelle.
So this is suggesting. I guess this is but what this is suggesting is that Jeff has not drawn a mutually assured destruction yet, which is kind of wild because either that or hasn't drawn, like basically hasn't either drawn the mutually assured destruction or hasn't drawn the high profile target. So doesn't have the kill line because they don't have the kill pieces. Because otherwise I feel like Jeff has enough there. Maybe doesn't have quite enough cards installed. It's really quite hard to say, because I haven't done like the Plascrete maths for a long time.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do the maths here. Plascrete stops 1 per counter, so that's 4 prevented. So Jeff needs to be able to deal 9 damage right now.
So it's actually like needs to put 5 tags on, right?
Yes.
So we need to be able to trash 5 things. So actually, that's maybe I was underplaying the Plascrete. That's like maybe a bit more of a speed bump than I had originally kind of thrown it out as. Because I mean, now we might have close to 9 things here that we can trash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can't trash the Jeeves, I believe. Otherwise, we don't get the click. Oh, you can. Oh,
yeah,
disgusting.
You can trash
and
the
you
Jeeves.
get the Malia off the Jeeves as well. How gross.
That's exactly it, yeah. So that's why this combo is so gross, is that the Jeeves, as long as it's rezzed, once you can fire the Mad, you can trash the Jeeves to the Mad, and then use the Jeeves to get your Malia, and then also you get your extra click to then high-profile target.
I mean, I'm saying that you might have enough stuff here, but they've also got to be all rezzed, which means that they can't be unique and matching other unique things. So, if we've got like multiple copies of Jeeves on the table, or we've got another Estelle Moon, because we know that we just drew one off the top, then actually going to be we're still not quite there potentially.
So yeah, a lot for all 15 to think here. Like this is, we're going to see another 5+ Estelle counter fire, or another 5+ counter Estelle fire, which is 10 cards drawn. Just going to see over half his deck now by the time his turn gets to start. So you have to be thinking that the combo is very rapidly approaching. So your kind of window to do your window of play here is pretty limited, but that's a big one.
That is, I mean, if we had a bit more money, on the runner
Mhm.
side here, then all of a sudden we're feeling pretty good right now because we have Citadel and New Angeles City Hall, which is a combo of two resources which could both prevent the death. I was kind of wondering what happens if off 15 installs this symbol chip, runs and gets a second Plascrete on the table. Which doesn't, maybe it might just be a one-off. It's very probably just a one-off, but I'm pretty sure that Plascrete is not unique. So
Is Plascrete unique? That is a great question. I don't think Plascrete is unique.
yeah. So if we are running multiple Plascretes, then that would be the other thing, because then all of a sudden we do get to a point where, well, I can't really afford to like how many tags do you eventually need to do?
Now I know something I know Jeff has been toying with in OB lately is playing a copy of Biotic Labor. Often getting rid of the New Angeles City Hall. So yeah, basically just saying I don't have the money to deal with this, or I don't have the money to effectively use this. Guru Devinder coming down does Guru prevent meat damage?
It prevents all damage. It's expensive though, very expensive. Although, I mean, we've swapped tech for tech here.
Yeah, this is just swapping out the tech. You still, I guess.
I mean, it's gonna stop at least one. So again, we're just kind of piling up. So it kind of is essentially just another Plascrete counter here, because you
Pretty
don't
much.
have to pay, or it's kind of like two more, because you can pay 4, and then it trashes itself. So it will at off 15's current credit total, it will prevent 2 additional damage.
No, it's one or more.
Whenever the corp prevents at least 1 net or meat damage, trash him unless you pay 4.
So sorry, it prevents all the damage. So you high profile target them and it does nothing. It blocks the entire high profile target.
Really? Why aren't more people playing this card? At least, yeah.
It prevents all the damage. So Jeff needs to blank.
Prevent all that. Yeah. Holy crap. Okay.
So Jeff needs to blank both of these somehow. So something Jeff has been doing lately is he's playing, I believe, a copy of Biotic Labor.
Yeah.
I know he talked about it. So if he has access to Biotic, he can go Biotic into mutually assured destruction, get the extra click to trash whatever he can't Malia. And then in theory, then he's good to go. But he still needs to have enough installables to swarm off 15 and tags to also get through the Plascrete, because right now I think the maths is it's card in hand plus Plascrete counters plus 1. So
I think
10 meat
right
damage,
now,
5 tags.
Yeah, right now I would be really tempted to try and go and deal with the I can't remember what the card is. It's the card in server 5. I don't know what it's called. But it will allow Jeff, yeah, it will allow Jeff to res his ice, which at the moment is going to be one of the best ways that he's going to be able to get more resed cards on the table. So I wonder if off 15 goes down that route as well. Not but yeah, we're really sort of throwing tech at tech here. It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, this is a really interesting game. So yeah, so doing the math that Jeff needs 5 tags to kill. So Plascrete basically negates 2, right? Because it's 4 meat damage. So then it's whatever's in hand, which is, so usually that's about 3 tags is usually enough. But he also needs to be able to kill both of these resources, because they're both stopping a high-profile target. Now, if he's able to somehow go high-profile target into high-profile target, that also will get him out of this bind. That'll also power through the tech because he can, again, Malia one of them. So I'm really, really fascinated to see what Jeff is able to cobble together. Does he have the biotic to get the extra click to deal with one of these resources? He can't double Malia you either, which is Malia is of course unique.
Malia is unique. He probably needs to be on a copy of Helion Alpha or Beta test. But you know, like that's he doesn't have Tehran's kahunas there. So I guess
Malia here.
Okay. Or just rezzing it, as I think he's just rezzed it, right? So this was on board. So this isn't a fetch. This is just
So I think what Jeff needs to be able to do here
is he just gonna give off 15/15 the tags?
I think he needs to. Annoyingly, this is a board state where actually wage workers would be better because you could. Oh no, you couldn't. You can't do trash. Never mind.
No, because there's not like the lines here. This has suddenly become like a CI7 game. As in, like how instead of how many clicks do I need, it's how many tags do I need, how much other stuff do I need to get. I mean, we're going for something here, so we're giving 5, maybe 6 tags if we trash the spin doctor. I'm unsure if we are or not.
I think Jeff needs to multi-stage this combo. So I think he needs to trash the board, kill Guru. If he doesn't have access to biotic, he needs to trash the board, kill Guru, and swarm off 15 and tags, which then says off 15 has to clear the tags then.
But off 15 might just be on a single copy of Misdirection, and then that does nothing.
But what that does is then you can then spin doctor back in your critical pieces. If off 15 goes and trashes the Malia, then you can spin that back in. And then you can spin that back in plus a Jeeves, and then you can rebuild from there and go for it a second time, because all 15 needs to find the levy to recur the resources. There's no other way of recurring the resources.
Okay.
So I think you have to basically combo twice. And yeah, we're seeing a tour guide come down.
We're just trashing. Like, interestingly here, so I wonder if the play here is to trash the board, or whether Jeff basically Jeff is here. He's given 5 tags on the basis that off 15 doesn't have a misdirection, because if off 15 has a misdirection, then he might as well have just given 1 tag.
Yeah, I think off 15.
So we'll kind of see here. Yeah, I think this is just a run. We're going to swap the coalescence. We get a misdirection. There we are.
Finding an Atlas. Not going to matter a ton. You're never really looking to win. These kind of control shaper decks will basically just get to a point where they lock out the combo from ever happening. So finding an agenda, not a huge deal. It looks like Jeff is just going to start rebuilding now, try and flood as many Jeff saying so many small misplays. No shame here at all. This is a very complex deck into another very complex deck. Yeah, I think he might.
Yeah. But I think Jeff just realizing like essentially, if he's going to do this play, he only needs to give 1 tag there, so he can hold on to the rest of his board, which might actually be reasonable. Oh no! Oh, so there we go. We've got the play which I was kind of looking at, which was resing the ice with
The boot camp.
with the boot camp.
Yeah. Okay. This is Yeah, this is when you're playing high-powered Eternal. When you're playing a high-level Eternal, these are the kind of small little decisions that you have to be cognizant of, especially these sort of really complex kind of combo decks. Jeff is not out either. Like, Jeff just needs to find another copy of Mutually Assured Destruction and get enough things rezzed, and he can power through the huge amount of tech, the surprisingly huge amount of tech that Ob-15 has been able to
Yeah.
assemble.
I mean, this Plascrete has done enough work, like has been enough of a road bump to really like block Jeff from being able to kind of go as quickly as this was looking like it was going to be overturn free.
Yeah.
And it's really been just enough to really force out some additional play patterns here. So we're seeing Blue Moose come down, which probably either means that Off-15 is not on Temujin, or it means that they've swapped in a Blue Moose where the film critic often goes in these lists.
I think they've swapped to the film critic because they on one of the earlier World Tree runs, I think the run where they got the Guru,
Yeah.
saw a Temujin pop up in the list of available options. So
Right.
I mean, hey, they could be playing both. As Toron has shown us, there is no limit to what World Tree is able to cobble together.
I also know that Off-15 only sort of, picked up and put together World Tree Woo for the first time just a couple of weeks ago, actually, because they were building it in a sort of a call whilst with me and Jai while we were just hanging out chatting Eternal. So like you can see them sort of literally like learning the deck as they go here. There's very much this like, oh, I can't quite do that, like learning what you can actually do, what you actually have available, how much credits you need for stuff, with like working out the issues with MU, which is such a big part of the deck, really. Getting a compilation here, but just to trade.
Trade for a Parisha,
yeah, which is kind of interesting. I didn't see the whole list there, but that was clearly the best option. Maybe the cheapest option. Maybe the only one cost left, 1 or 0 cost left. Like we saw 2 compilations get removed from the game very early, which actually could be a problem if this game goes long, which it kind of shouldn't, but it's gone longer than we were anticipating already.
Yeah, I think we were both very much expecting a turn 3 or turn 4 kill from Jeff, but Off-15 packing in enough tech pieces to we see a councilman come down.
We also see a second console.
A second console, yes. We are playing Woo 2 consoles.
Yeah. If there's ever a deck that can do it, this is the one.
So this is Councilman coming in here. Again, not a huge piece. Doesn't do a ton, but it does give you a slight road bump. In the look at the Jeff, an Asa boy at heart, as we can see. He is building an Asa table out of Ob, and yeah, I think just looking to get enough pieces now, setting up for that other mutually assured destruction. Ideally, this card in Server 17 is another executive boot camp, because if that's an executive boot camp, he can res a piece of ice, Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, one more rezzed piece of ice wins in the game.
Yeah, so this is actually really interesting play from Jeff here because he has shut out off 15's ability to get free world tree runs.
Yes.
Off 15's pretty short on MU. Now, if there's a hush or something like that, which there isn't, then we could maybe just run through this this tour guide for free. As it is, we're choosing to pull out a breaker and get in and deal with it. But yeah, like off 15's kind of been slightly stunted by not really having things that they're willing to trash on board, because these are all, like, a lot of these are very important tech pieces right now. So we haven't been able to get down some MU like Degdeers or Leprechauns or anything along those lines. So these hyperdrives are sitting in hand currently, which would be incredibly useful, but we don't have any way of installing them, or really getting a lot of value out of our sort of woo ability, due to the lack of MU. Okay, we see a Degdeer come down, so at least this is going to help. Jeff on a lot of money.
Jeff has a lot of money. The issue is, though, he has no board, and that's what's stopping him here. Now, this Markiel is a big op trigger here. Getting Spin Doctor, using the Spin Doctor now to shuffle back in enough combo pieces. What he needs right now are assets to make this tour guide unappealing to break. Yeah, Jeff just takes time to think about what he gets back here with this Spin Doctor.
If off 15 has at least 3 credits, then this Councilman's actually pretty big, right? Because it could blank the Malia, as in not blank it, but it could de-res the Malia that comes down on the combo turn.
Yes.
Which means that the Mali would have to be pre-installed res, like resed on a pre-turn. So actually, it's probably a pretty effective piece of tech right now.
That's really funny. We're seeing this Councilman do actual work here.
Yeah.
Now Jeff is maybe this could be an important turn here for Jeff, depending on what these two installed cards are. I didn't see, what did he shuffle back? He shuffled back an Executive Bootcamp and an Unseen card. Now there could be another Malia in the deck. It wouldn't shock me if he's playing a combo deck like this with the ability to fetch it out as well on your combo turn. But yeah, depending on what these two cards are, like, this is the other thing with off 15 going into this, you could just die next turn depending on what these two face down cards are. If they're both assets, just playing out another hyperdriver, just sort of saying, if you have me, you have me. But if one of these is a Malia and the other is an Executive Bootcamp, it's a Markiel, which is basically an Executive Bootcamp.
Yeah, that's what we're going for here. So
that's
now we can start rezzing some ice. I don't think you Councilman this.
I think
I'm unsure. I guess I'm wanting to keep that around. Is there?
So,
okay. So I think the point. Okay, yeah. So this is why I want to keep the Councilman around. But this is very clever. So Jeff's managed to pre-install this, rezzing it on his turn, on off 15's turn, so that there's still a chance to then re-res it if off 15 decides to de-res it here.
So this is what Jeff needs now. So Jeff needs these installed cards, these exact assets. He's blanked the Citadel Sanctuary. He uses Executive Bootcamp to res any piece of ice, and he needs to deal 10 10 meat damage.
I
10 meat
think
damage.
the answer here is biotic into double high profile. It's gonna be biotic mad double high profile is Jeff's win line at this point, I think, because I don't think single high profile target does it on this board state.
You're
But
right.
we're drawing. We don't have it.
Drawing. He doesn't have it. He's still digging. Double icing the Mali remote. And installing another asset.
Which feels a little risky to me. Like, unless this is something that Jeff can pop, I assume it's something that he can pop.
Yeah,
Because
this has to be like another spin doctor. I think the third spin doctor.
Yeah, I guess that makes the most sense. But yeah, there's no chance that you want to give. Okay, yeah, well, there we go. There's an answer. Was that resed on off 15's turn? Because here, if it wasn't, you could have used the councilman here to de-res it so that you then have a target to run.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's worth it. Like, because then you've got a ton of clicks, so you can like pull out a Temujin using this using your world tree, run it like 4 times for a gajillion credits, get down a Mayfly and run the Malia probably.
Torrent's firing off the levies. There's a bit of a value levy here. There wasn't a ton left in the deck or in the heap to get back. Not sure what. Oh, they're looking for Guru.
Yes,
they can get Guru back now. And
so
I think...
and we've drawn into a into some. No, yeah, I was going to say, well, we've got one down, haven't we? So we can get a Guru here.
They can get Guru. They can also get Parisha back now. They can get Parisha to threaten this EBC, the executive bootcamp trash.
I think Guru's the install here. I think
they've sacrificial construct as well, so they can prevent Jeff from doing the line earlier if he had a way of trashing the Guru. So I think...
Oh, true.
I think this levy has just won off 15 the game.
Wow.
I don't see why Jeff can combo out from this board state now.
Yeah, I forgot about... I forgot that SatCon isn't just stops program destruction, it stops any card being trashed, right?
But fetching up a program?
We're not... Okay, well, we're not getting to work the Guru. Maybe we just think that we've got enough cards. We've got Stone Ship down that we could, so that's an extra 2 card.
Yeah.
I mean, it's technically card neutral. Oh, but that's funny. So obviously the Astrolabe doing quite a lot, doing the Lord work here as well. Great stuff.
The other thing about the Stone Ship as well is the Stone Ship plus Plascreed is an extra 6 damage. So that's 3 tags. So now Jeff has gone back up to needing... Jeff needs 6 in resed cards now for Mutually Assured Destruction.
I'm also going to point out that Jeff has 5 cards left in stack.
Yeah, Jeff is on a real clock here at this point.
Like, if we had some money on this side and something like a keyhole, we could just win the game right now. And there we go. So we got the Gurus come down. I think we probably leave this bankers because it's an easy run, and that's it. That's a concession.
Jeff knows he's out. Jeff knows he can't win. Wow.
For World Tree does it. I'm putting this down to the turn. I think it was turn 1, maybe turn 1, turn 2 Plascrete. Like it just held off the game enough for off 15 to find the other tech that he needed, and there's no way that that the Ob can deal with the Plascrete on its current build. So maybe we'll see if we see I don't know, wake up calls, or I don't know what you put in. Maybe you throw a spicy Toron blend in there, and you put a Hunter Seeker in, just to deal with Plascrete or something, and feed them an agenda. But yeah, wild.
That was a wild game. Jeff mentioning how you probably won or close to winning the entire league. Yes, with that result, All 15 now is 8-0. All 15 after 4 weeks of games. We're in week 5. They were in the bye week, round 1. 4 straight weeks. They have not dropped a single game in the league. And they are sitting very comfortably. I think Koga, our master stream commander, we have the standings after this week of games. If we're able to get that up on the screen.
Yes, we do.
We have it up. Oh, brilliant. Here we are. So yes, of 15, after an excellent game, a game where they just used enough tech pieces. They never had a commanding board state. It was always just enough tech pieces and just enough little speed bumps for Jeff on the board to stop Jeff from comboing off perfectly. They have managed to extend their lead to 24 points. And we look at here, the crucial thing that you need to remember here is Toron, Augustus, and Ysengrin have all already played of 15-15, who is currently 6 points clear of second place, the tied here, the 18 points. The last person on 18 points who hasn't played all 15 is Jai. So no pressure to Lisan Al Gaid, but if there's a man to do it, it is Jai, who's now playing the role.
It's Player of the Year 2024. That's
Player of the Year 2024, Mr. Jai Atreides. It's all on him. He has to play Bounty Hunter now to take down all 15. They don't play next week, but they will be playing the week after the first game of Phase 3, the final stretch of games. So we're starting off Phase 3 with a bang. But at the end of week 5, off 15-15, just looking unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean,
it's wild.
I mean, who's taking him down? No idea, really. He's come in swinging guns left, right, and center, knocking people out with Lisa, with Weltry Wu, with playing the only NEH in this entire phase, and doing it in style.
Nobody has played NEH at all.
No, I think we have one NBN last phase, right?
Yeah, I believe. What was the NBN deck last phase? Was it NEH?
That might well have been NEH.
It might well have been NEH. Even so, as you say, a variety of decks, 4 different decks across both phases, and they're on 24 points, 8-0, undefeated, and managing to take care of everybody who is within catch-up distance, knocking Jeff down. Jeff, I think, was second going into this week. That sweep against him, knocking down into 5th. Commiserations, Jeff, but well done to all 15. We'll have to see next week if this continues.
I mean, second place is still hotly contested. So, there's all 15 sitting pretty, but it now makes the middle of the pack like pretty exciting here.
Very
only 6 points in 5 players.
Yes, the 6 points separating second to 6th place. And the other thing about all 15 as well is they can't drop a game, because they don't have, their lead is good. They have a very strong lead. But if Toron, Jai, Augustus, Ysengrin, even Silent Arbiter keep playing well and keep picking up wins, and if all 15 drops even 1 or even 2 games over the next 4 rounds, we're right back into it. So that is going to be everything from us at the Eternal Super League. Massive thank you to Warlock, and Ba for stepping in to do comms. Huge thank you to Koga for jumping in to run the stream for us. Thank you to all of our players as well. Thank you for everybody who's watched. If you're interested in Eternal, please check out the resources on the No Signal website. You can obviously visit the Eternal channel in GLC. There is Eternal points list testing ongoing for a points list update. There's some very exciting changes. I would highly recommend people get involved if you're interested. We do have the fixtures for next week as well. So Jai is coming back. We'll be seeing Jai for playing against Toron. Larea and Ren battling out for some relegation spots down at the bottom of the table. There's something to play for at every single stage, every single rank of the leaderboard. Ysengrin looking to bounce back against Havre Fun, and off 15-15 versus Silent Arbiter. Can Silent bring down off 15 and make Jai's potential bounty hunter job that little bit easier? I think we're in for a real banger next week. Another banger week here in the Eternal Super League. Ba, Koga, anything you'd like to add before we sign off?
Jump into WooTube tomorrow night to hear about what's going on with the Bristol Regional.
Ooh.
That's all I've got to add in. The official announcement is tomorrow. I have been slowly leaking stuff to some people, but yeah, that'll be exciting.
Gotta say, this being my first night actually being live on the stream, pretty hype. Like, these games are so fun. They're so technical too. It's crazy.
Extremely fun. Yeah, that last game between 015 and Ysengrin was one of my favorites of the tournament. Maybe my favorite of the tournament so far. That was just a real, again, little tiny micro decisions paying off. That's Eternal at its best in my mind. But yes, thank you to both of you for jumping on to help run the stream. Thank you for everybody who's watched. Thank you to our players for playing. As we reach and clear the halfway point in the league, we've 4 weeks left, so just over a month left of gameplay. But yeah, still so much to play for. And can anyone take down off 15-15? That's all from us. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Have a good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and see you next week.
Ciao for now.
Bye.